Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Night Owl, a show that we do twice a week where we discuss all the latest in pop culture news, TV and movie reviews, gaming news, and just the general conversations of the day. For those who don't know me, I'm Price of Reason, and with me, as always, is my co host, Professor R2. How's it going, Professor?
Oh, it's going well. It's been a busy week for me already. I've had a busy weekend. Did some traveling. Went to go see my mother for her 70th birthday, so that was a good time. Getting to see some family and wish my mother the best. And yeah, just getting back to the busyness of the semester and everything. But as tiring as that can be, also it's a lot of fun. Sometimes there's work where you're like, yeah, I actually enjoyed doing that. I actually feel rewarded by something that I just did. So it's nice to see that sometimes too.
Yeah, I like that kind of feeling too. Like, actually, I mean, there's other work that I do outside of this, but I'm saying the kind of streams that we do, or when I do a video, that's work that I actually enjoy. I
Sure.
like doing this. If I didn't like doing this, I wouldn't do it.
All right. Well, that ends the night owl, everybody, and we'll see. Oh, sorry.
That's the last time we ever do. As the
That's
poet
it. All
says,
right. Take care.
only the best technology. I assume you meant because we were a few minutes late. I take responsibility for that.
Yeah, just running a little late. That's all tonight. No, thankfully, technology so far, cross your fingers,
So far, we're pretty
is
good.
working like it's supposed to, which is
We're
awesome.
pretty good so far. And we're happy to see everybody
Yeah,
here.
it's great to see everyone here.
And Price of Reason Live is an interesting character and is very based. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm trying to think now. I feel like I did this thumbnail, and as I was doing it, there were more and more things happening. Some of these days, like, so many things happen simultaneously that you already don't know what to focus on. That's why I
Oh
think
yeah,
the thumbnail actually has the Cracker Barrel on it. But by the time I got to doing this thing, I didn't even write that inside the tray in the inside the thumb. You know what I'm trying to say.
yeah. It didn't even go into the
Didn't even go into it just because it's already there. The whole Cracker Barrel thing.
crackle.
Initially, it's just a weird process they went through. First of all, they already started remodeling their stores, and they said they're changing the logo. Then there was the whole people getting upset. Didn't want a Bud Light on their hands. Initially, the CEO, much like in Bud Light, went out and said, "No, that everybody loves it. I've been getting phone calls, from my family telling me that it's the best thing that ever happened." And then within a few days, there's some kind of announcement that says, "Hey, we're actually not going to change the logo. We're going to keep it the way it is. Everything is great." But then people were saying, "But they still plan to change the store and remodel all that stuff, and nobody likes the remodeling." And that continued to be the conversation. And then today they came out and they said, "You know what? We're not going to remodel, and the places that were remodeled, we're going to go back and model them back,
Yeah, yeah.
back the way they
Yeah,
used to be."
we're gonna put everything back.
That is insanity. The fact that, like, even the ones that were remodeled, they're like, "Okay, we got it. We're reversing." This is costing them more money just to save their brand and company. To go
Oh, it's
back and
amazing.
do
Yeah.
do what they did before. This whole thing is the worst nightmare these guys could have.
Yeah, and guess what? Guess who's still there? The the CEO who was the start of all of this, still there. Even though, this has absolutely been it's just an unmitigated disaster for Cracker Barrel. Did you see the story, that came out in the New York Post about
Wh
this?
what is it?
So, there's been a lot oh, here, I can actually let me pull it up
And
here.
by the way, I know it's Defoe or somebody was saying that this isn't actually the biggest story of the day. I know it isn't,
Oh,
but you know
no.
what? Some of the other stuff is very heavy. This seemed like a lighthearted thing, so we can just tell a few jokes and then move on to some more serious stuff. Because, man, there's
So
some stuff that's really disturbing. Go
oh,
on.
there's some incredibly disturbing things. So yeah, the whole thing. Oh, you'll have to share the presentation there.
Okay,
Um,
sharing the best
yeah,
technology.
yes. So there was this article at the end of last week, all about how now we've got all this angry Cracker Barrel people that are they're well, they're pissed because now their hours are getting cut. Some of them are losing their jobs. They're not getting tables, so they're not getting tips. So the Cracker Barrel employees are kind of pissed off, and so now they're tattling on Cracker Barrel. So this was one of the articles. This is not the only one, but this was one of them, basically saying like, yeah, okay, you want the real dish? Here's the real problem at Cracker Barrel. It's the food. And so this is what a lot of people have been reporting on, that actually, oh, yeah, they can change all of this other stuff back. They can ditch the logo, they can change the store remodels back, but the food is still going to be garbage. Because over the past couple of years, they have been consistently moving away from fresh prepared food to stuff that is frozen, stuff that is par cooked. And so now you get meatloaf. Well, you want to go order the meatloaf. It doesn't get cooked in a pan that day and then sliced out of a pan and placed on your plate. Now it's been cooked in a pan at some point, and then they've sliced it up, put it in wrap, and stuck it in the freezer. And so if you
Oh,
get fresh meatloaf, what you're getting is meatloaf that could be a week old, and they're just putting it in a microwave for a minute or two to warm it up, and then they serve it to you.
Maroxer says the
So,
misuse of your. Yeah, I'm going to take that seriously.
oh god, it's just disgusting. They're talking about the biscuits. They'll cook a whole bunch of biscuits on Saturday, Sunday, and then they'll pop them all in the freezer, and
Well,
then they'll just sort of throw them in a little warming tray for the rest of the week. And so by the time you get to like Wednesday, Thursday, they're just they're basically hockey pucks, right? They're rock hard, they're nasty. Uh, there's numerous other things that they've talked about with some of the things like appetizers and stuff that are all just they're all just these frozen things that they just sort of dump into a fryer and then put on a plate, and it's just a mess. And so, yeah, they're fixing all of this with the, "Oh, we're gonna get rid of the remodel. We're gonna get rid of the logo," all this stuff. And it's still just the restaurant's still on the path to completely failing because they're not fixing the one thing that really helped the restaurant survive, really was the cornerstone of the Cracker Barrel brand for decades, and that was fresh cooked like homemade cuisine. When you were on the road, you're traveling and you wanted to stop somewhere and have something like, like a meal like grandma would make, not just some crap that was, par cooked and microwaved for you. You went to Cracker Barrel because you were getting that meatloaf that was cooked that day, you were getting fresh biscuits, you were getting whatever. And was the food always the best food you've ever had? No, of course not. The chain restaurants always kind of cut corners and do stuff, but it was good. And it was something different than what you were getting at most other similar, sit down, restaurants, chain restaurants. But they've completely destroyed it, and I don't think there's anything they can do to get that back. I don't think there's anything they can do to fix the food that isn't going to cost them a truly enormous amount of money.
and that's where the whole stupidity comes in, because instead of spending all this money that they just forfeited doing a bunch of crap that nobody cared about, there was only one thing they needed to do, was to make sure the food is good. If they
Yeah.
had taken all the money that they just flushed down the toilets, made better food, and maybe paid their employees better, you would have probably had a lot more happy customers. Happy customers means you have a chance to grow. And
Mhm.
instead, this is just so stupid, such poor management. People should really step down. Whether it's this CEO or other CEOs before her, other people that are at this company that are maybe made decisions. I don't know what. Obviously, the CEOs that were there before are not there anymore. But I'm saying somehow somebody has to take responsibility for what happened here. This is such poor management.
It's incredibly poor, yeah, you're right, and I just don't think they actually have a way back. I mean, yeah, they're trying to rebuild their image by ditching all of these, stupid changes that they made, to try and appeal to people out on the West Coast. which is what we found out was really their goal. They were trying to appeal to more people on the West Coast so they could open up more restaurants in the West Coast, and, they've completely destroyed their customer base at this point, and they think that now, "Oh, well, we're getting rid of the decor, we're getting rid of the, logo change, that's gonna bring everyone back." The truth is that people have been leaving this restaurant for a long time already, and, yeah, I don't see any way back for them. I think it's probably gonna end up in bankruptcy. Maybe somebody gets a hold of this restaurant in bankruptcy and is able to, maybe shut down a bunch of stores and then start with a core set of stores and actually start rebuilding, like cooking these meals the way it was always supposed to be. Like cooking them in the pressure cookers and the kettles and stuff in the back, making these fresh cooked things instead of just handing out, you know, frozen crap that they cooked in a microwave.
Absolutely.
But who knows? I said 2 years. I said 2 years to bankruptcy. The way they're going, I don't know if they're gonna make it to 2 years.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Their customers have just abandoned this place, like,
Oh, marvel.
overnight, and, I've seen
I'm
pictures, I've
really.
seen videos of people, saying like, "Wow, we're here. I didn't think it was actually as bad as people said, but here we are, and we're the only customers in the whole restaurant." I
I
don't know,
mean, yeah. Listen, they could still try to make the food itself a priority. There's
sure
still
enough.
something they could do, but they need to really, change the whole. A real course correction is needed here. I don't know if they're capable or not, but I wouldn't say it's impossible. I would just say that it needs people to become realistic over there and start really understanding what the issues are. With this CEO, I don't know how that's going to happen. They have to fire that lady, in my opinion. But
No,
that's
I
just my
think
opinion.
her and her team, hate the existing customer base, the people that have made this
It's
restaurant
exactly like Bud
successful.
Light. It's
Yep,
exactly like Bud Light in that sense. Yes, they didn't roll out Dylan Mulvaney for the Cracker Barrel,
yet.
but when it comes to that kind of condescending approach of we have existing customers, they'll come no matter what. We can just do crappy food. We'll just tell them what's good and what's not good, and they'll all show up here. And now we need to find like a modern audience. That is a dumb idea. And that lady, and that's the kind of idea where you take your existing customers for granted. That is proven time and time again to be a mistake. People keep thinking that it's because of woke or not woke and all this stuff. What most of the time it's that you have an audience, whether it's movies or a restaurant or whatever it is, you have an existing clientele, and rather than saying, okay, we got these and we have to cherish these people and make sure they're happy, and then maybe we think of ways to expand a bit, but never forget who our core audience is and why we're where we're at right now. And all of those Hollywood studios, companies, whatever it is, they all seem to forget that. And so easy they took for granted the people that were paying their bills.
Yep,
And it's also the same
yep.
with celebrities and fans that they also don't understand that. If you're a celebrity and you have fans, then people are basically supporting you. And if you suddenly are no longer liked and they don't like you, they don't have to support you anymore. They don't have to go to a movie with you. They could maybe say, "Oh, this person, this movie, I don't really want to see it." For example, just for example, I'm not one of those cancel culture people, okay? But if you tell me now that there's a movie and I'm like, "Who's the star of the movie?" and you tell me Mark Ruffalo, you know what? I'm not in a hurry. If you tell me that it's the best movie you've ever seen and you really tell me that like 100 times, maybe I'll watch it. But generally speaking, the name Mark Ruffalo doesn't achieve like the effect of me wanting to see the movie. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh, I understand completely, yeah.
And it reminds me, do you know that that these days a lot of Hollywood people sign some kind of thing to support, seemingly support Palestine. What have you seen something in the past few days? I'm like, it says like
Yes.
Emma Stone. I looked at this list and I was just shocked by it. First of all, there's one thing that annoys me. Let's see if I can find this stupid list. I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah, I did. I don't have a link to it pulled up, but yeah.
Sign, film. Let's see if I can find this stupid thing. here. The full list can be found here. Let's see. So, are you ready?
Mhm.
I saw this today and I couldn't believe what I was looking at. Uh, you have, some people here. I'm not gonna, you know, dwell on every single one because there's certainly a lot of them. But the ones that kind of popped out to me. Trying to find her. Where is it? Okay, Alyssa Milano. I never really looked at this list, but Alyssa Milano. Okay, Alyssa Milano, do you remember that when Kavanaugh had a hearing? First of all,
Mhm.
when the Me Too movement came out, she basically appointed herself the leader of the movement. Okay, she made herself the top Me Too lady. And then when there was that whole Kavanaugh thing and the hearing, she went there. She put glasses on so people would think that she's smart or something, which she isn't. And she sat there, really kind of. She's there to support. She's a representative of women and women abuse and all this stuff, okay? And then she signs this document. And I don't see her condemning anything else that happened. See, a lot of people that sign this thing, they're just sort of, in a way, they're supporting a regime that does the opposite of what they claim to represent. If she is all about women's rights and that's the top thing that she supposedly cares about, this would be in complete contrast to what she supposedly stands for. Do you get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And you have another one. This is another one that surprised me that I don't know. I think this is a new one. Elliot Page. Okay. Elliot Page, I'm
Gotta try and be
sorry,
relevant somehow.
wouldn't be able to set foot in there. They're trying to go and support a place that if they went there, they would be, if there was a roof in the area, then they probably wouldn't want to be near that roof, if you know what I'm saying.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I'm not gonna just throw these specific people under a bus. There are a lot of stupid people. I'm looking at this list, and there's a lot of really dumb people. Now the thing is that I'm not saying that if you want to support or there's certain angles you can approach this, and I'm not saying that everybody that signed this is necessarily a bad person, but one has to wonder how many of these people, when October 7th happened or something like that, how many people were vocal then? And I suspect that most of these people weren't.
Mhm.
It just seems strange to me how they pick and choose their trendy things that they support. Do you get what I mean? There's an inconsistency. I guess that's what I'm saying. And more than anything, I feel like there's a lot of hypocrisy. That's just my opinion.
Mhm. Yeah. And this whole thing, oh, we pledge to not film our or not film in Israel, and we will not screen our films or work with Israeli film institutions. Ugh, I just want to.
Nobody cares. They can just do
Yeah.
whatever. And I think that again, they don't. If I were them, at minimum, I would just do nothing. If I wasn't sure, if I'm not knowledgeable enough in these things, and trust me, 97% of probably the people on this list couldn't find Israel on a map. They probably don't even know what the conflict is about. They've done no research. They don't know what they're talking about. And I think that if you're in that position, if you're some kind of celebrity with millions of dollars sitting in some mansion in, Malibu or something, you probably should not be interfering in this to begin with. If you're not sure, just to be on the safe side, probably best to just not get involved. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not saying
And
they should say this or say that or take this side or take that side. I'm saying it's sort of a very complicated conflict that I think that the more you're far away from it, the less you understand it. It's the same that I also tell you about Russia and Ukraine, that I'm always very cautious about what I say about that because I feel like the conflict is very complicated and very much more understandable to the people that are there than to me. I'm
mhm.
not saying you can't explain it to me, but there's a difference between somebody explaining something to you and between you and me now living in Russia and Ukraine and feeling it.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's my opinion, at least.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, just my 2 cents. And then another thing we had, and that was on the thumbnail. You had like Greta, who again with her stupid thing, she wants to is the Phobos. We support Ukraine unless our crazy dude want to kill their young women. Then we support. Mm, also, you're racist.
BLM, yeah,
No, but you
like,
know what? I know
yeah,
exactly what you mean, Istophobos, and
yes,
we will
oh,
get to that.
yikes,
That
yikes,
the lady on the subway should have been the exact person that all these assholes are supposed to want to protect with their lives. That's all their flags in their bios. They keep putting all those flags in their bios. This lady was slaughtered, and they don't say anything because again, hypocrisy. They're just a bunch of hypocrites. And you know what? It goes back to me, what I told you. At minimum, if you're a stupid actor like Mark Ruffalo, I've said it many times, you look in his eyes and you can tell that he has a shortage of brain cells. You can tell that he's dumb. It's also one of the issues that I kind of had with him as Banner because I didn't believe he was as smart as they said he would, but somehow there were some good actors next to him. Robert Downey Jr. was talking to him, and it kind of like you let it slide. But now I can't take him seriously. I can see his eyes, they project this kind of stupidity. And
yeah,
I told you this.
there's an emptiness there.
There's an
There's a
emptiness. I told you once that I actually saw him once, in New York walking around. I He walked by me, so I saw his eyes in real life. He looked kind of dumb then too, to be honest with you. Like
Mhm.
even in person, when he walked by me, I sensed that he was an idiot. That's just my opinion, though. I don't know if you can take that to the bank. in in any case, how did we get to there? Okay. Where were we? We have sorry. Okay, so we'll go with Greta first because somebody was mentioning her. Uh, we had this whole situation that she was on a boat, right? And then they said their boat was attacked. What do you make of all that? Do you think that her boat was attacked? It looked like she was faking it. Because the thing is that I think, according to the narrative that I think Greta Thunberg and her friends were trying to sell, that Israel targeted their boat and used a drone to send a missile on it or something. Now, to be fair, I think that if Israel would have targeted her boat, I don't think it would have been this kind of mild fire that looked almost like a flare gun gone wrong or something.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? Like, if Israel indeed thought to themselves that they wanted to drop like a missile on our boat, they wouldn't be sitting there on TikTok talking about their feelings. Should that have been the case?
No, I think if they wanted to send a message, it would have been more than some burnt plastic on the
Exactly.
deck of the ship. I don't know. They say yes. They say it was struck by a drone and burst into flames. It's so scary. We thought they were all gonna die. It was a brutal, violent attack, and they call this boat the family boat because they're a family. All of these undesirable people, they're a family. Um, so we have whatever caught fire on the deck here. I've actually got a picture. Uh, so here's the fire on the deck. That's what got burned. Not entirely
Yeah.
sure what that is. I'm not exactly someone who knows a lot about boats, but I'm guessing this was probably some equipment on the deck, and some bags of maybe this was their one bag of supplies that they were going to take
A bag of flour that they were
to
gonna give themselves or something. Istafopoulos said it wasn't attacked, it was a self-inflicted firework shot from the boat itself. This was a Tunisian intelligence report. I believe it because
wouldn't
again, if let's say there was a real attack on this boat, it wouldn't look like this. And man, can you scroll down for a bit? Can you bring back that picture of those guys?
These dopes. It's
I
the
should I shouldn't be laughing. This
family.
is and especially can we zoom in on Greta? How dumb can she look?
She
She's
she's getting much better at looking really dumb. I mean,
people said
yeah.
like, "Oh, she's autistic, but she's brilliant." But you know what?
No.
I'm starting to think that maybe she's just dumb.
Maybe not.
I don't even know. I don't know if I don't even know if she's autistic. I think she's just stupid. I know that's a terrible thing to say. You can say I'm a terrible person. Everything she's doing now is she seems stupid. And if she's really autistic and there's, she's not like in touch with what's going on around her, then her parents are doing an awful job at trying to like, keep her in some kind of normal state. And the truth is, part of the reason she is the way she is, whether she's autistic or dumb or whatever it is, her parents have been using this girl since she was a kid. Uh, I can't look at her anymore. She's now, I think, an adult, so you can't just say, well, she's a kid. She's an adult now. It's not my business that her parents raised her the way they raised her. There's really nothing I can do. There is something wrong with her.
Mhm.
Urkel de Stefano says, like her hat. Her hat is like Yoshi from Super Mario Brothers. See, it is
So,
Yoshi. Isn't it Yoshi? Look at it for a
sort
second.
of, kind of looks or frog or something. Yeah,
Come on, Yoshi. Come on.
it could be Yoshi. So, the local Tunisian investigators do say video footage appear to show a falling object, a burning falling object falling out of the sky. They say it was not a drone. And so, yes, they're saying the most likely thing was in fact some kind of fireworks. So,
Greta Isophobos says Greta is just. Oh, by the way, Isophobos' previous comment was a $2 super chat, and now it's a $1 super chat. He's saying Greta is just and stubborn. God forbid baseball lands in front of her. Don't even know what to tell you, man. I don't I think Elizabeth was saying something that I liked here. Was it Elizabeth? About how she's kind of this is her version of OnlyFans. Or calls stuff. No, I like her hat. Yeah, I agree, Granola Grin. The boat would have been obliterated if this was a real strike. There's no way you have a strike on your boat. They're like the Israelis struck our boat. There's strike on your boat. It's not going to look like that. It's just this is just
yeah.
stupid.
This is their claim right here. The drone stood a few seconds on top of a bunch of life jackets and then dropped a bomb. The bomb exploded and there was a big flame and there was a fire on board immediately. We picked up the fire extinguishers. We were able to fight the fire
I
successfully
like how they're
and
presenting themselves
everybody
as the hero. They were able to
was
fight the fire
safe,
successfully.
fortunately. Yes, no, yeah, and all the investigators locally are saying BS. This is not what happened. There was clearly some object that was burning that fell out of the sky. So, yeah, that's where the assumption of this likely being some sort of firework, or maybe like you said, maybe a flare gun,
Something stupid
big
happened. I feel like these guys
landing
are.
in the boat. Yeah, not a drone.
So Tim Hayes says she's autistic, probably mildly, but likely she's not that smart. Yeah, being autistic doesn't mean that you're like automatically really smart. Uh,
No, no,
Tim
trust me.
Hayes says
I know a few people who have to deal with autism. Some of them really brilliant, very, very smart. Some of them not so much. Well, some of them can barely function in society. So yeah.
so yeah, Tim Hayes says I have mild autism and I'm not that smart. My dad never felt that smart either, but he just had dyslexia real bad. Well, dyslexia doesn't mean you're not smart, by the way. That's
No, no, not at all.
let me see for a second. I just wanted to check on the YouTube side. I haven't looked there. I'm trying to do my best here to. Oh
Yeah,
wait,
we do.
there's two
We got a couple
from
of
the
super
dead
chats over
man.
there.
Yeah. Okay, it's good that I looked. The dead man. I always occasionally look just to make sure I didn't miss something from you. So happy we did that. and now using the most sophisticated technology known to man. I'm going to show you what the dead man wrote. So he says, "I would do anything for love, but I won't do that." That's Meatloaf. She's a bat out of the underground place. Bat out of the
A,
underground place.
a bat
Well,
out of
there.
hell.
Yeah, no, that is
Also
another
Meatloaf.
Meatloaf reference. Yeah.
I would
Anyhow,
do anything for love.
I'm going to tell you something. Meatloaf is a strange phenomena for me. There's people that absolutely love Meatloaf, love him, and I respect that. Somehow, his music never really spoke to me. And actually, out of all the stuff that he did, that song, that comeback song, the "I Would Do Anything for Love," can't stand that song. I didn't like it when it came out. It never grew on me even years later. Even as nostalgia, it doesn't work. I hear that song and I get annoyed. I think it's a very annoying song. I feel bad. I understand that Meatloaf was talented and it's fine if people like him. Just not my cup of tea. And that "I
Yeah.
Would Do Anything for Love" song, that's terrible in my opinion.
He was talented and he was very sweaty. I'm
You know
not
what?
sure why, but he was.
When he
Yes.
came out, hey Bingo Hasman, nice to see you. So when it came out that song, whenever that was, I don't know, the 90s, I don't know where he popped up with that stupid song. When I Would Do Anything for Love came out, I at the time was very much an active musician. I was performing, I was recording stuff with bands, things like that. And I heard that and I was insulted because I said to myself, how is this man with this shitty song? Sorry, Sean. How is the radio playing this song over and over again when the song is an embarrassment? It is a crappy, stupid, and annoying song, and I don't know how that got all the attention. And you're saying, well, you're bitter and a sore loser. Yes, I was bitter and a sore loser, but in that specific case, I understand why I was a bitter and sore loser. I don't regret being a bitter and sore loser in that case because I feel like I was in the right.
Mm-hmm.
Professor has to put up with a lot of me
No,
saying a lot of crap on this show. I
no,
know that.
no. I have to agree. I appreciated Meatloaf. I think he was a great performer. And clearly he had a lot of people
Loved him.
who
Loved him.
really
Yeah.
enjoyed his music, loved him. And I also know from having seen a few different interviews, seen some red carpet stuff with him, he also had a great sense of humor from what I could tell, which I always love to see with artists because the one thing that really irritates me more than anything else is the artists who take their work way too seriously, right? Like
That's
that
true.
that bugs the hell out of me. Like, you know what? Yeah, you made a song. Some people love it, some people don't like it. Maybe Weird Al wants to make a parody of it or whatever. Like have fun with it. That was something that I actually found out the other day. So I went down a really strange little rabbit hole looking at some songs by presidents of the United States of America. You remember this band, Price? Peaches, Lump, right? Anyway, I went down this strange little rabbit trail reading about some of the different songs and how they got written and stuff like that because we were having a discussion about some of the songs. We were having a good laugh talking about this. Then we saw Lump, and we were reading some stuff about that, and we saw that in fact that the band thought that Weird Al's version Gump was absolutely hilarious. They loved it, especially the lead singer, and that in fact now that afterwards when they would play the song, they would do the ending of the Gump song where he says, "That's all I have to say about that." That they would play that line in their version of the song when they would perform it on stage as a
That's
tribute
funny.
to Al because they thought that his version of the song was so fun. And that in fact the lead for Presidents of the United States of America actually went and in a performance while Al was on tour, Al covered Lump instead of doing his Gump song. He covered Lump, and the lead singer and a guitarist he played for the performance with Al. So I love to hear what artists like. They're cool with having a little bit of fun with their work, right? And from what I understand, Meatloaf was one of those guys. Like he liked when people were having fun. He didn't mind when people would make a little fun or make some cracks, some jokes about him, whatever. He had a good sense of humor, and so I really do have to respect that about
I didn't
him.
hate
But
him on a personal
yeah,
level. Maybe the '70s music that he did was more, reasonable because it matched the time. The comeback, the "I Would Do Anything for Love" is the one that really made me sad
yeah,
because it was so
I
terrible.
don't like that song.
It was
I
so
don't.
terrible, and there was no
Bad out of
reason.
Hell's all right. I don't
Right,
like the
Bad Out of
Won't Do
Hell, you
That.
can just kind of let it slide. It is a
Yeah,
product of its time. It's fine. He objectively, it's not my cup of tea, but I don't think he did a bad job as a musician there. I Would Do Anything for Love is a terrible song in my opinion. But
yeah.
Tim Hayes was saying, "Price of Reason. Why do you always have to randomly criticize things like a Meatloaf song?" I don't know. It's late at night, and I'm a grumpy guy, and I suddenly think of something, and I can't let it go. What can I do, Tim Hayes? What can I do? And Marlo Sharondoff had some comment here. I don't know. I thought it was interesting, but now I can't find it. Uh, oh, I've seen many wonderful people with autism, but I've also dealt with autistic people with terrible personalities. I've had to put my TikTok account on private to avoid getting harassed.
Mhm. Yep.
Generally, I steer away from TikTok. I think that I have like a price of reason TikTok. I don't know if I've ever even posted anything there. I think once I tried posting something, I don't even know. There's a few things like that. I have a Blue Sky, which I once opened because I just wanted it as a placeholder. I don't think I posted anything there. I think I have a Threads, which I registered it. I signed up for it, but I don't think I posted anything.
Yeah.
And same with TikTok. When I go to TikTok, often I feel like my brain cells, I have less brain cells just by being there. So I don't
Uh,
really need to block anybody. The only thing I need to block is the app itself, and I shouldn't even be there. But it's fine if
yeah.
you like it, Marla. I'm
Yeah.
not trying to
Yeah.
take away your fun. If you
Yeah.
enjoy being on TikTok, that's cool. I personally, what I don't like, again, Tim Hayes, what I don't like, Professor, is
Mhm.
that on TikTok back in the day when I looked at it, you'd see these things where there's like a minute or something where like a husband and wife are doing like their quote unquote acting. You know what I'm saying? Like there would be a
Oh,
scene
yeah.
that they're acting and doing stuff, and it would be so cringe. You know what I mean? They're not good actors. Whatever they're doing sucks. I don't believe it. It's annoying cringe. And that would be a lot of the stuff. And then you have like, I like to dance, and this is my mom, and she dances with me. It's like, lady, shut the fuck up. I don't want to see you dancing. I don't care about it. I again, cringe, embarrassing. I don't want to see it. Now, some people will say you're a terrible person. How dare you? I understand. I understand. I maybe I am a terrible person. TikTok, like I feel like out of all the things, I don't know what it's like today. Maybe now you go on TikTok as like this like stimulating intellectual experience. But in the past, when people were kind of into it, and I at least wanted to see what it was about, I felt very very uh, ashamed that I was even there, even just looking at it. So,
Yeah. Oh,
yep,
I think now I think someone was saying who was it? Tim Hayes said the only reason TikTok didn't get banned in the US is because Parent Trump likes it. Uh, so that's part of it.
could be, yeah.
There's also some other stuff that has to do with him being able to promote his platform there, but also he's made some connections with some people who have a lot of money behind TikTok, and so there's a little bit of that. Also, I think they don't want what's happening in Nepal to happen here. Did you see any of that today, Price?
Yeah, there was something that they were now doing, like, they're revolting or something, right?
Well, they shut down social media. And so the Gen Zers, tired of all the corruption, tired of everything else that's happening there, they shut down social media to try and quell protests and various other things. And instead, all the Gen Zers just lost their minds, set a bunch of government buildings on fire, and chased out the government.
And that just shows you how dumb that whole TikTok thing is. I mean, The fact that you took it away from them, and that's like you couldn't get them to do anything, but you take away their TikTok and they'll go and they'll burn buildings.
They start burning, yeah, things. It's wow, yeah. No, I am not a fan of TikTok. Actually, absolutely no one in my home even has a TikTok account. There, it's not allowed.
Uh,
Just stay the hell away from it. There's plenty of other social networks. Not that they go on any of those either, especially not my kids. But yeah,
well, Goth
it's
Conservative says Trump
yeah.
found out he could use it to help the election win.
There you go.
Then he saw the unfavorable people reacted to a proposed ban. Yeah, I don't know. I wish, honestly, beyond the fact that I don't like the platform, I really wish that we never would have been hooked on these kind of YouTube shorts, uh, TikTok, even on X, those kind of short clips. There's something that really dumbs down everything. That your brain is just looking at something for a minute, and you then another minute, another minute. There's something about it that I don't like. It's bad enough that these days nobody has any patience to do anything. Nobody has any patience to watch anything. Everybody just needs everything edited like in 1 second with like that stupid CapCut type of like flashy transitions, 70 transitions a minute with like all the titles and the smileys and emojis and the stupid sounds and all that shit. Sorry, Sean. And it's like I don't think that we're becoming better. I think that we're encouraging ADHD by doing this. There were times back in the day that people actually sat and took the time to sort of enjoy something and really let something simmer. Now it's all like, what can you do in a minute? How can you entertain me in a minute?
Yeah, yeah. And Amelia Bedelia, she's got this. Yeah, TikTok. It's all about the dopamine hit, right? It's basically a digital drug. You watch these little bits and you get your little hit from this silly little video, and then you get another one from this one that backs you up on some preconceived idea that you have, and then you watch another one with another ridiculous dance or some stupid thing or whatever. It's just one thing after another, bang 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 bang, and you just build up this constant hit of dopamine. And then you also because there's all these videos, there's all these things, and it becomes this there's this conveyor belt of content that's always pouring out new stuff. Then you also have all these young people especially who are now connected to TikTok all the time because they are afraid of missing out, FOMO, right? And so they always have to be connected. They've always got to be looking at it, or else they could miss something, and then they're not going to be part of the culture anymore. And it's absolutely pathetic, to be frank.
Elizabeth Quinn says TikTok equals CCP. Yeah, that too. That too.
It
Uh,
does. They
you
still
know, I
haven't gotten
probably
that part fixed.
I feel like I've told you this before. I must have told this to you, but it's not that I tell it to you every second. But I told you that once I was in a flight, and next to me that were these like two. There were like a family next to me. I guess the parents were sitting in back of me with a kid, and then there was a teenage girl. Maybe she was like 15, and her friend was sitting next to her. Now they were coming back. I don't know. They were at like some kind of resort or something that if you and I were to go to something like that, I think that we'd be really happy. You know what I mean? I think of
Hmm.
myself sitting on the beach drinking pina coladas, everybody like, serving you, hand and foot and whatever, the royal treatment in the sun. That's good for me. I don't really need to play with my phone or something. Like I could just relax for a few days. I could totally see myself doing that because I'm just like, a regular person. I'm not some weird Gen Z weirdo. But those two teenage girls, they were complaining how terrible it was that the Wi-Fi signal on this island or whatever they were wasn't as strong as they had at home, like as they expected, and the poor signal and the fact that they weren't getting like good reception was like a major downer for their trip. And they weren't saying like as a joke. They were honestly 100% like distressed about this and talking about it. And I heard this conversation and I thought to myself, man, on one hand, on the surface, these sound like the two dumbest girls I've ever heard talking in my life. But what was sad is that I knew that these weren't isolated dumb little girls. These two girls represented their generation. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I
I
get it.
feel
Yeah.
like an old man saying this, but these 2 dumb, stupid girls, that they are the representative of that entire generation. How can I enjoy the island? There's no reception." So you're
Yeah.
such a dumb. It's like you people wish they could go to some fancy island and sit on the beach. Like,
I
what's
tried
wrong with
to
you?
I tried to live stream to my followers and my resolution was terrible.
But that's exactly, and not only that, the way you just talked, that's how they talk too. Like, however you just talked as a
You
joke, they
you'd
sounded
almost
even.
you'd almost think I spend, hours in class with students at this age every
Yeah, I'm beginning to suspect that you do, Professor. They sounded just like you were talking, possibly even worse. You know what I mean? You were being kind the way you were doing, but it was in the direction of what you were doing. That's how they sounded, and they were so dramatic about it and so serious. And I didn't want to. I'm trying to think. I think I maybe said something to them, but I tried to keep my mouth shut and not really give. They didn't get the full price of reason like you're getting now. Don't forget that their parents were sitting in back
Yeah,
in back of me, looking at you 2 dumb. Never
yeah,
mind.
and then they look at you and go, "Who are you, creepy old fucker?"
They
No
probably
way.
already thought that. They're like, "Why is this old man sitting next to
Sorry,
us?
Sean.
Like, we don't even have good reception, and now there's an old man." That's probably what they were thinking, yeah. Uh
Creep.
But in any case, Read by Nature says, saw a girl at the cinema once sit with her phone permanently in her hand and with her hand in the seat next to her. No concept of putting it away. Always had to be in her hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing. We've talked about this before, that somehow in the past few years, you've seen articles that a lot of these kind of Netflix movies or shows or whatever, sometimes in addition to showing things on screen, you have characters explaining things that you're already seeing because they think that people don't have an attention span, or maybe they're looking on their phone while watching.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's a that's a phenomenon. Like all of these shows do it now. Alien Earth is one of them. There's been others recently where they do the same thing. Everything that's happening, the characters are narrating what's going on because they know that a bunch of the people who are quote unquote watching their show aren't actually watching. They are looking at their phones or watching YouTube videos. They're playing a video game. They're doing something else besides actually watching the show that's on. So they're really not paying attention. So they've got to make sure that they vocally that someone says what's going on so that the people who are not actually paying attention know what's happening. And all the time. All the time.
Super annoying.
Yeah. Amelia Bedelia says ban cell phone use in high schools. Absolutely, yes. I have a good friend. They live. Oh, actually, they moved recently. I don't remember where they live. Anyway, he was telling me that their schools their all of their schools, they had a bell to bell rule now. So bell to bell means that students basically either they don't bring a phone to school, or they have to check it in on their way in the door, and they don't get it back until the end of the day when they walk out of the building. Uh, and the schools here have done some different stuff. They've this year is the first time they've had a policy. Theirs is a policy. It's not a bell to bell policy. It's just a in class policy. So they're supposed to. They've got little pocket things on the doors that they're supposed to drop their phones off in. But my son has told me that so it's all like some of the teachers actually do it and some of the teachers don't enforce it, and then some of the teachers enforce it but then they're not really monitoring to make sure, and so it's just sort of a half measure, and so my son is he's a good student, and so he's following the rules and everything. He said he's gotten used to it, and he still gets to look at stuff on his phone, check YouTube, so like that, like at lunchtime or whatever. But he said there's still some students, like, they're just so addicted to their phones. Like, they'll ask for bathroom breaks or something so that they can go to the bathroom and watch TikTok. Like, it's wild. So yeah, there's more and more of these schools where they've started to put these bans in place. And yeah, the way to do it is a bell to bell thing. No devices from walking in the door and leaving. Of course, that doesn't really mean as much in a lot of these schools now because a lot of these students are using devices in their classes. They're using Chromebooks, they're using iPads, whatever, to actually take their classes. So yeah, it's not their personal phone, but they've still got a device with them that they're looking at pretty much all day long. So yeah.
Even while we were talking, I guess there was recently another thing. Did you see this? That Trump went to a restaurant, and I guess there were
Yeah, that happened earlier this evening. Yeah.
earlier this evening. I didn't even
Yeah.
realize that. There's each time I want to say one thing, there's something else. I have a little clip of that. I'm just curious as to what that is.
Sure.
Uh, so yeah, Trump went to a restaurant, and I guess he was heckled by pro Palestine people or something. Is that what you heard? I think that's what this is, right?
Well, I think there was something that happened during. I don't remember what it was, but yeah, maybe we'll see.
Enjoy your dinner.
These people just,
Who
well,
are
not
these
even
dumb dumb?
original, not even just, yeah, these people. I just want to slap them.
Yeah. If those ladies went to that place that they just held flags for,
Yeah,
it may not be such a great place for them to hang out.
yeah. Free DC, bring back the murderers. Yay, yay, yay. Yeah,
But
whatever.
it didn't look
Uh-huh.
like I see Vance here. It didn't look like any of these people cared about it, but it's just
No,
no, now anywhere they go, you have people like whining whether it's DC or this or that. They're just
yeah. They're all yelling, and there's other people there trying to have dinner. It's like, thanks a lot, a-holes.
it's so annoying.
Bishop Judas, they must be paid to do this. They absolutely are. Yeah, there has been credible evidence that has shown that there are people who make upwards of $70,000 to $80,000 a year as paid protesters.
Wait, he had something to say. Hold on.
We have a safe city now. Great job. Can you imagine? We did it in 12 days, but now it's almost a month. We have a safe city. So that's good. Enjoy yourself. You won't be mugged going home, okay? Have a good time, everybody.
Right on beat.
Right on beat.
Hey, thanks for that business card.
Yeah, I gave it to you.
Big
Thanks.
stuff. I like the steaks.
Where's your family?
They're back in Atlanta.
Oh, okay. Say hello, bro. Have a good time, everybody. Don't drink too much. Don't drink too much.
I see here before all those like little girls started yelling at him, see that most people were pretty happy.
Yeah. They were cheering, clapping for him, handshakes. But yeah, he took him and a bunch of his cabinet and some of his staff out. They went out to dinner, like saying, like, look, we have a safe city. We can actually go out safely to dinner without, being accosted or anything like that.
I wonder if he got a chance to eat his food, or did he never even get a chance because of those hecklers? Professor?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I do know that they made a big deal out of the fact that this is the first time he's gone to a restaurant that he didn't own. This was somebody else's restaurant.
Oh, here. This guy says insane leftists shouted at President Trump as he sat down to dinner in D.C. The protesters were quickly led out of the restaurant onto D.C. streets, where they were safe thanks to Trump. Dems hate him, but he's made their lives better regardless. So I guess they removed them.
Yeah, and they would. I mean, it's private property. The owners of that property have every right to say you're not welcome here. Please leave. And so they did, and they're fully within their rights to do so.
It's such stupid.
Trump is the Hitler of
I'm
our
trying.
time.
I'm trying hard not to say a bad word.
Yeah.
Would it be fair that if I said that I thought that they were stupid bitches, or is that bad?
Well, I think that's probably fair. Yeah. It might be disrespectful to bitches, but
or and to
yeah,
Sean, and to
yeah.
Sean. Sorry, Sean. Uh, anyhow, that was interesting. So yeah, we didn't even get to the main thing that I think that because of how depressing it is, I've been just going in circles. But
Yeah.
Trump addressed earlier today that whole situation with the Ukrainian girl with Iryna who got killed on
Yes.
that train, and I'm trying to find something. Where
Absolutely. It's tragic. It's was completely avoidable. It's a horrifying situation, and it's made even more so by the fact that we've got a huge number of the media elite who want to pretend that this didn't happen. They just want to ignore it because it doesn't fit their narrative. And we have other things that are happening around this too. Price, have you heard about the battle at Wikipedia?
I heard that, and I'll get to that in a second. But
Yeah.
first of all, let's see. Let's see what Trump says. I have this clip that this is the first thing that happened here.
For far too long, Americans have been forced to put up with Democrat run cities that set loose savage, bloodthirsty criminals to prey on innocent people. Really, very, very innocent people. In every place, they control radical left judges, politicians, and activists, and they've adopted a policy of catch and release for thugs and killers. In Charlotte, North Carolina, we saw the results of these policies when a 23-year-old woman who came here from Ukraine met her bloody end on a public train. And here's a picture of it. This is the picture of it. And this is a picture of the woman, a beautiful young girl that never had problems in life, with a magnificent future in this country. And now she's dead. She was slaughtered by a deranged monster who was roaming free after 14 prior arrests. We cannot allow a depraved criminal element of violent repeat offenders to continue spreading destruction and death throughout our country. We have to respond with force and strength. We have to be vicious just like they are. It's the only thing they understand. 24 of the top 25 most dangerous cities in America are run by Democrat mayors. 50 people were murdered in Chicago in recent weeks, with hundreds being shot. And it's time to stop this madness. The people of our country need to insist on protection, safety, law, and order. We have proven that it can be done because we did it right here in D.C., in District of Columbia. The capital of America was a bloodthirsty, horrible, dangerous place, one of the worst. And now it's a crime-free city, and we're going to keep it that way. It can be done. It can happen fast. All we want is, please, Mr. President, we need help. Chicago needs help. Other cities needs help. We'll do what has to be done because we're going to make America safe again. And that includes our big cities. We're going to make those cities safe. Thank you.
Now, the reason, one of the reasons this whole story with this lady has become so talked about, and I think a lot of people are bringing this up. If this was a situation where this was a white man and a black woman, you'd have people now rioting all over the streets. This would be
Oh,
like
yeah. Seattle would be on fire.
Seattle would be on fire. There'd be like, billions and billions and billions of dollars in damage. Businesses burned down, just like the biggest riots, and all these companies, everybody's the media trying to appease and all this stuff. But because this lady is white and the other guy is black, it doesn't fit their narrative. So they don't want to, they
Yeah.
don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
And there were actually, I don't know, I can try to find some clips, but there were clips showing that on his way out of that train, which nobody even jumped on him, nobody tried to help this girl. You see this girl, and then nobody is helping her.
There is you don't really catch it on video. There was someone who did to try to go help her actually on the scene. but there's basically nothing they could do.
I understand,
Yeah.
but I'm saying, like, even when he got up or something, like, I feel like all the people there were sort of kind of minding their own business and looking away. I don't
Mhm.
know if they could have stopped the guy, but they sure seemed to kind of, like, not wanna get involved or something. I don't know if there was anything they could have done to stop what he was gonna do, but I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. And in any case, he walks off the train and he said, "Oh, I got the white girl, I got the white girl." He actually said that twice,
Mhm.
walked off the train.
Yeah.
This would generally be considered a hate crime. I mean, but nobody wants to treat it as such. And Wikipedia, I've known this for a long time. Wikipedia are a bunch of sniveling weasels, whatever goes on that place. We've known this
Absolutely.
before. We've known this before, and I'll tell you why. See, here's the thing that I'm going to tell you something. It's going to sound weird, but I'm going to tell you anyways. Back in the day, when I would say to people that all this stuff with like The Last Jedi and all these kind of narratives and this Lucasfilm stuff, people said it's just a stupid movie. What do you care? And I said, if narratives can be manipulated like this over some stupid movie, imagine what else can happen. And I said that then. Now, the reason I'm bringing it up is until today, if you probably look at The Last Jedi, I haven't looked recently, there's like a whole entry there that explains, the quote unquote istophobia against Kelly Marie Tran and all this other stuff. They have a whole narrative that they've built that until today, when you look at that entry in Wikipedia, it has a million of political things that they're trying to peddle there. And when you allow stuff like that to happen, we tried to push back. When you allow stuff like that to happen over the smaller stuff, at the end, it escalates. And with this thing that I saw with the Iryna, I've seen it before. I've seen it with GamerGate stuff, with GamerGate 2 stuff. They want to craft their narrative on Wikipedia. They don't care what happened or what didn't happen. You have people there that I don't know who decided that they can edit these entries that are a bunch of fucking assholes. Sorry, Sean. There are literally pieces of shit in there in the editorial, whatever it is that they do there. And yeah, once this article, that people started entering this article, they started removing it. They said it wasn't noteworthy, it wasn't relevant. And even now, they've removed multiple times the name of the person that did it. They don't want to say what his background is or ethnicity. They're trying to remove stuff like
Yeah, they
that.
tried to literally just remove the fact that this man is black. They tried to take that out of the article, and then
And
then they had some of the senior people who were coming back saying, "Oh, well, this actually needs to just be removed because it doesn't meet the criteria of being noteworthy, so it doesn't need to be in our Wikipedia at all."
well, now it's back because it's too powerful for them and they couldn't remove it. But still, if you look there, there's something that's written. Nobody knows why he killed her, and there's no like motive for the crime. He literally walked out of the train saying, "I got the white girl. I got the white girl." That is not in the Wikipedia. They won't let
Mhm.
the person's name. They won't let the motive in there. This is very, very uh, problematic. I mean, I don't know what legalities, if there's any kind of legal options here, but Wikipedia hold a very certain position that a lot of people rely on that for
Absolutely.
information. And to abuse that in that way, with nobody being able to say anything, I think is very dangerous. I've thought that for a long time. I thought that about the Gamergate stuff. And again, people are like, what do you care if it's the games, whatever. It's again, if you allow that kind of thing to happen time and time again, don't be surprised that at the end, when it's a woman getting murdered, that they'll do the same thing. Do you get what I'm trying to say? I realize that The Last Jedi and Gamergate are small compared to this lady being murdered, but because they've done all of this and got away with it all the years, doing all the bullshit that they do, once you get to this, it's not a surprise to me that they manage. Why wouldn't they think they could do it?
Of course, yeah,
Be-
there are many other examples. This is why every year they come around and they're like, "Oh, hey, if you would just give $3, that would help us, keep our site running all year." No, I'm not giving you a damn thing until you fix your policies, because they have consistently found ways to shut down and change and reframe all sorts of conversations, even stuff that you might think is just completely unconnected to politics, unconnected to any kind of culture war or anything. They have found ways to change and modify and add and remove various different stuff from articles for a decade now, where they come in and change things so that it represents a certain point of view. One very clear instance of this is any discussion whatsoever of climate change. If you put anything in there that represents, oh, hey, look, there's this piece of research that says that there's this thing that happened, and that maybe this other, research that shows that maybe it's not entirely, caused by fossil fuels and man-made warming. You try and put anything like that in Wikipedia, it's deleted within seconds. It's gone because they have a very strict policy and they have moderators, editors in those areas with very strict policies. They will only present anthropogenic global warming as their strict policy. They will not allow anything published in there that questions that. Same thing happened when we were dealing with COVID. We saw that all over the place, where if you questioned the official narrative in any way, you were shut down. You were told you were posting disinformation. You were reported. You were removed. Your rights to actually edit on Wikipedia or any number of other social media platforms were removed, or your reach was shut down, whatever. Same thing was happening on Wikipedia, and it still happens to this very day.
Well, first of all, I don't know why I'm curious about this, but Tim Hayes says Wikipedia deleted a bunch of references to Lindsay Lohan being liberal. I think they also took out the references to her being in a lesbian relationship. She was in a relationship back in the day with Samantha Ronson. Oddly, in some kind of Forrest Gump way, I actually, my paths have crossed with that whole situation, but I can't say anything more about it. But I do remember it was Samantha Ronson who was a DJ. She's Mark Ronson's sister, and at the time, Lindsay Lohan kind of was off the. I don't know which term to use here. She wasn't in the best place. Somehow she was hanging around with Samantha Ronson all the time, and I don't know if that was a good setup. In any case, she had some difficult years, Lindsay Lohan. But what are they trying to say, that now she's not a liberal anymore? She is a liberal? I don't even know.
Yeah,
Now she has. I thought she married some very wealthy Saudi man or something. Am I?
suppose that's possible.
I could be confused about a lot of different things. I feel like she married a guy who's like the crown. I don't want to say the crown prince, but I don't want to. Anything I say sounds like I'm an asshole, and I'm trying to steer away from this. It seems like she married a guy with like a ton of money that is somehow tied to some royal family or something.
Financier Badr Shamas, back in 2002, and they live in Dubai. I do believe we might have mentioned Dubai the other day. He is a Kuwaiti financier and a member of, it says, one of Kuwaiti's Christian families. Oh, okay. I don't know. But they had a private wedding. And
The Christian family, but why do I feel like there's something with wealth or something? I guess what I'm saying is,
oh no, I mean he's a financier. We're talking about somebody who's managing other people's money, and if you know anything about that, that means that they are incredibly wealthy.
I have no doubt about how wealthy they are. I'm just saying that I thought that there was something that he comes from a wealthy family to begin with. Do you get what I mean?
Quite possibly. I mean, it's talking about Kuwait, so you're talking about tons of oil money there. So any prominent family there is going to be connected to oil, and they're going to be outrageously wealthy. So, and if they can live in Dubai, there's only two kinds of people who regularly live in Dubai. There's the service class who barely can survive, and there's the ultra wealthy. That's it. So.
Let me see.
There's no such thing as a middle class in Dubai.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I feel like he comes from some wealthy family, but yeah, what do I know? In any case, why did she become like a Republican? What I don't understand what Wikipedia would delete or why they would delete it. Now I'm curious. I don't know. I'll never be able to let this go until I find out what Tim Hayes wanted. Tim, we're gonna find out what they've deleted about Lindsay Lohan.
Let's see. Lindsay Lohan's political stance has been notably inconsistent over the years, shifting between endorsement and criticism across the political spectrum. In recent years, has been marked by occasional public support for Donald Trump.
Ah, I see. I see what's going on here.
Recently, Lohan defended Donald Trump on social media, urging followers to stop bullying him and start trusting him, and praised his family as good people.
So here, Lindsay Lohan had many high-profile relationships with actor Wilmer Valderrama, blah 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 blah. DJ Samantha Ronson. I told you. Remember, I told you.
Mm-hmm.
You thought I was just making it up.
I always assume you're making it up, Price.
That is true. Where did you find the part about her politics? Was it on Wikipedia?
No, I just found that using Perplexity.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
In any case, listen, relatively speaking, compared to where she was at and what was wrong with her, I think she's in a much more decent place now.
She seems to have actually gotten some help. Clearly back, in the, decade or so ago, decade and a half, she had gone from being a child star into what happens to a lot of child stars. She moved into substance abuse and all sorts of other horrible things, and that was very bad for her. I feel for these, for a lot of these child stars. They're put in a place where they're exposed to a lot of stuff in Hollywood that most people that age are not prepared to handle, and so I really do feel bad for a lot of them. She kind of fell to the same thing a lot of the child stars do. Got caught up in drugs, got caught up in all sorts of partying and other stuff, and things are really rough for her for quite some time. But it seems like she has genuinely gotten some help. She's gotten into recovery. I don't know, how, sobriety and so on has gone for her, but she does seem to have pulled her act together. And for that, I'm happy for her. I still don't particularly like her as a performer or as an actress, but if she's cleaned up her act and she's found a husband, and I think they even have a son.
I think they
that's
do.
that's great. I'm really happy for her in that, and I
She's
wouldn't question that. Just because her husband, is a very rich Kuwaiti financier, I wouldn't question that they actually do have a genuine relationship. That I don't know
No,
anything
so a
about
lot of
that.
women like,
So
usually. I'm gonna get in trouble. I'm not gonna say what I think. I'm gonna be
women
quiet
like
now.
wealthy men.
I was gonna say that, but then I thought to myself, maybe you should shut up now, and then I didn't.
Yep.
Now I can't
Yep.
walk it back. Sorry, ladies. Sorry. I'm not saying that all women are looking for wealthy men, but I've
No.
met women that if there's a guy who's wealthy, super wealthy, that is of interest to them. Don't get me wrong. I've met men that want to be with a woman that has a lot of money too. It's not that it can't happen the
Oh yeah.
opposite also. So
Oh yeah. Yeah.
it could go both ways. It's not, it's not exclusive. But it's not that I think that necessarily Lindsay Lohan can't make a few dollars on her own. But the truth is that throughout the years and all these years that she didn't work and all the crazy stuff she did, I think she spent a lot of that money. Being with this Kuwaiti financier guy may have given her the stability she was looking for. Tim Hayes says Wikipedia used to reference her saying that she realized she couldn't get into politics with her fans, so that got removed. Notice how they mentioned she was a relationship with Samantha, but I don't know why it gets cut off, but in any case, they did mention the Samantha thing. Maybe that suits their narrative. The part where she was seemingly more Republican or whatever, they deleted that because it doesn't suit their narrative. I understand what you're saying. It's possible. There used to be more of a reference to her being a lesbian in the past on Wikipedia. Well, I mean, it turns out that was more of a fad, I guess, and now she's not that anymore. And when it comes to Hollywood, that is a very difficult place, even if you're an adult. This is something that I can say, from my own work and experience working in the field, and even, dealings within that system. It's a very cruel industry to begin with. You could be, on top of the world one minute, and the next minute you could be struggling for work. And maybe at a certain point of your life, you're making some money, especially if you're not like Leonardo DiCaprio. If you're just somebody working in the industry, you may have a nice run where you're making some money, but then it could be for years you're not making money, and you could fall on hard times and things like that. Now, if you're a grown person, just a mature adult, that can affect you negatively to begin with. But imagine if you're a child. Imagine if, let's say, you're like a child on a show, you're not even mature enough to understand what really life is about, but you know that from a young age, everybody's telling you how great you are, and you're this big star, and you're on TV, and everybody thinks you're popular, and everybody likes you at that moment. And it's kind of like, in a way, it's kind of like with Lord of the Rings, with Frodo and the ring. You put the ring on, you have it on, but then suddenly you get a little older, you don't have the role, you don't have this, you don't have that, and it's as if somebody took the ring away from you. You become like that precious guy. You become like Golem, you know what I mean?
Yep.
I know it sounds weird, but that does happen, because suddenly you're trying to get back to that feeling you had. And if you're an adult, you've lived enough to know what it was like not to have that feeling. So when you have it and it leaves, you kind of have this, okay, giveth and taketh away, or whatever it is. But when you're a kid and you don't really know what's going on, and you had that feeling, but then you don't have it, it's a lot more difficult to get over. And I think a lot of these times these kids fall into all these kind of recreational activities, is because that kind of high they get from it maybe replaces something that's gone. It gives them that feeling back, that they're on this kind of high, but it's a false feeling, because they're not really high in the same way. And a lot of them just aren't able to recover. It's a difficult position to put a kid in. You need a really strong support system. You need parents that are really on top of it. You need a strong system around you. Most of these kids just didn't have that. They got lost in the system. I'm gonna say something that I have you know, I'm friendly. Haven't talked to that person in a while. I'm friendly with somebody who was a child actor in Hollywood that actually, what was I would say, I think it's fair to say, famous to an extent. Meaning, I know somebody who's a former child actor, and I've seen a lot of things that person went through, and what his life was like. And man, it's difficult. And I think that the worst part is, and also knowing how the ins and outs of this industry works, that you have all these agents and managers and people, and they're all getting a piece of the action. If you're booking a show and you're making, 100 grand a week, they're going to get, the manager is going to get like 20 grand. Your agent is going to get 10, 15 grand. You have a lawyer. By the time you're done, they're all getting their piece of the action, and they're all so happy while you're making them that money. But once that well dries up, maybe you were a cute kid, but now you're not so cute, or the show is canceled and you're just not easily getting the work, and you also have become more spoiled, and you don't even appreciate what you had. These people will vanish.
Mhm.
They don't care about you. They don't care that you're a kid. They don't care about anything. They'll take your money and they'll run. And then you're just left in a shitty situation. Sorry, Sean. And it's difficult. I can understand why a lot of these kids have problems. It's unfortunate, but I can understand it.
I was looking up a list here of, just curious, like, oh, some child actors who, survived without being destroyed by, fame or whatever. And on this list, one of the first people on this list was,
Price of reason.
no, it was Miley Cyrus. And so I've just discounted this list completely, and I haven't,
You know what?
uh,
Miley Cyrus is a different situation. It's a bit different, because she was already born in, like, with a silver spoon in her mouth. Her father was already rolling in the dough. He was like Scrooge McDucking in his bathtub from his shitty music. Sorry, Sean. And and he was already like making a ton of money to begin with. So all they had to do was basically sort of groom her to be whatever it is that she is today. And she had all the training and the people around her, and the people to coach her and the acting lessons. It's one of those situations where it's set up from age 0. And even if you pull the plug on all of her popularity and whatever, she's still already like there's still money there. She's not in any kind of trouble. So it's a bit different with maybe that's why she could somehow remain the same, because it's always been the same for her. She didn't
Have you seen her lately?
she looks totally weird. She shaved her eyebrows. She looks like a weird monster. I don't know why she looks that way, but quite
Yeah.
honestly, I'm going to be honest with you, Professor. I've never been she's never been my cup of tea. There's something
No,
about her.
not me and not mine either. But yeah, just recently, like I was looking at this, like, oh, yeah, survived, made a normal life for themselves. I'm not so sure about that with her.
Yeah, I mean the thing is that at best maybe as a kid you could say like she was a cute kid or something. I honestly I at any age I was at, whenever anybody was like look at Miley Cyrus, I'd be like not my cup of tea. She
Yeah.
doesn't generate something that appeals to me. I don't know, maybe it's the age thing. I don't really even know, but it's not my cup of tea. I also I once you know I didn't talk to her, but I was at an event and she was there with a group of people, and they were called the Hungry Hippos or something like that. She walked in and she had like a bunch of like groupies with her, and like she called her crew. I'm saying Hungry Hippos. It was probably some other name. She had like a cool quote unquote group of weirdos that she walked around with, and they had a name. I'm saying Hungry Hippos. I assume that it's probably a different name, not much different, but there was something about Hungry Hippos. That's how it's in my mind. And she was sitting there, and I just looked at her and her friends, and I got annoyed. I thought to myself, "Man, this sucks." But I think that's what happens anytime I meet any of these people. That's also probably why I stopped getting invited to any of these things. I have a feeling that at the end they found out. I wonder if in one of these parties maybe I drank enough whiskey that maybe somebody said something to me and I finally said what I really thought. That probably paved the way out of me ever getting invited to this stuff again.
Hmm.
Somebody wants to check if she had the Hungry Hippos. I don't remember what they're called. I know that sounds weird. She had that in and of itself annoys me. I can't explain to
You're
you.
talking
Like
about Miley Cyrus?
Miley Cyrus had a group of people that like walk around with her, and they were her groupies. But she had a name for them. They were called the Hungry Hippos.
Hmm.
Happy
'Cause
hipsters.
all I'm finding is something calling them Team Miley.
Happy hipsters. Can you try that?
Smilers.
Uh,
Let's see.
happy hippies. Maybe
Looking
they were
here.
called the Happy Hippies.
Miley Cyrus, known for founding the Happy Hippie Foundation, a nonprofit
You thought I
organization
was
launched
crazy.
in
You thought I was
2014
crazy.
to support homeless LGBTQ youth.
You thought I was making this up, and now, finally, it turns out that I knew exactly what I was talking. Here it is. I'm going to share it all with you. Never doubt what I say.
Miley Cyrus also released a series of musical performances called Happy Hippie Presents Backyard Sessions to promote the foundation and its causes.
I think they were wearing these shirts. Whatever it is that you're seeing here, this thing,
Could be,
that's
yeah.
why I said Hungry Hippo, because it was an H and an H.
Mm-hmm.
How was I supposed to know? This maybe somebody mumbled something. I said, "What is that? Why does she have these weirdos around her?" And they said, "Oh, it's the Hungry Hippos." I realize now that I guess it was the Happy Hippies. But come on, guys, come on. Those were her entourage. They were all wearing these annoying shirts. I did the best I could. I tried to analyze the situation the best I could.
Hungry Hippos is just what the skinny girls called the fat ones.
So yeah,
I
so
didn't
I
say
saw.
I called them that. I said that's what the girls called them because we all know that skinny girls call fat girls nasty names. It's just a fact.
So yep, that was that. And Price's True Hollywood Story. These are true Hollywood stories. I did meet her, and she did stand around there with the Hungry Hippos. You loved Hungry Hippos as a kid, Price. That was a pretty fun game, yeah.
It was a fun game. Yeah. Who didn't have that game? That was a great game. Yeah. You just got to slap your hands on the little thing, get it to eat the marbles. It was great. It's classic.
Anyhow, so yeah, I honestly, there was once a book publisher. Did I tell you this? It doesn't really matter, but I'll tell you anyways. It's the middle of the night. Who cares? There was a company that publishes books, and they kind of threw out an idea. It never really got anywhere, but they said something, and I like I'm telling you a story. They mentioned somebody, and I said something like just kind of off the record, and they said something like, "Wow, like, do you have more of that? Could you maybe put it into a book where you share all of your experiences?" And I said to them that I thought that it wasn't a good idea. In some cases, it was a situation where I was in a professional capacity, and there's something that doesn't feel right to me that I'm doing something professionally, and I'm kind of just like, you know, bringing out every single detail. Even here, when I talk to you about stuff, it's like it's heavily edited in the sense that there are stories that are a lot more interesting, but I couldn't share them, unfortunately. The
Hmm.
ones that I share are ones that I feel like it wasn't in the capacity of me working necessarily. It was just me doing something and maybe running into somebody or seeing something. So in that case, I feel good about it. But in cases that I was more, hands-on involved in something, I usually keep it to myself. So I'm not saying it may not have turned into anything, but I told him that I didn't feel comfortable doing that. So there could have been a book, whatever we're doing now, there could have been a full book of that with like much juicier stories.
You could have shared the selfie, the the selfies that you took with all these different stars.
I do have a lot of selfies and stuff. Goth Conservative says Price has a singing voice and sounds like a New Mexico or Arizona accent. I don't sound like any accent because I moved around throughout my childhood, and that's why nobody knows what I sound like. But thank you. I actually do have a singing voice, and I don't know if it sounds like New Mexico or Arizona. I do sound differently when I sing, and also my accent changes, and I'm not sure why. Although I do have a theory. Anyhow,
Yes.
Davian Donaldson says now they would call a version of it called Hungry Lesbian Hippos. Maybe. But they were wearing those shirts that I showed you with that smiley face and the HH. That's why I thought they were the Hungry Hippos.
Gotcha.
Anyhow, I don't know how we even got here. What were we talking about? We were talking about sad things. We were talking about Iryna.
Yeah.
She was killed on. I don't know if to share those photos. I know they're on the internet all the time, but it's like, man, that photo and that stuff on that train, it depresses me so much.
It's absolutely horrifying, and it's not it's
The
the
fact,
incident itself is horrifying enough. The fact that this man should not have been on the street. He should not have been able to get onto this train, which he jumped the turnstiles to get onto anyway. So there were multiple different times that he broke the law. He violated the rules. He did stuff to get onto this public transportation with this woman and with other people, where he should have been stopped. He should have been apprehended. He should have been put behind bars, and it didn't happen. He was let out time and again, and this is what we get.
you know, rule of thumb, if a guy keeps assaulting people and you've arrested him 14 times, that doesn't seem like a situation that you're supposed to let him out. And that's the same thing that happened with Daniel Penny in New York. Obviously, he tried to stop a guy from doing stuff, and they wanted to put him in jail forever, Daniel Penny, when he was just trying to stop a guy from doing a bad thing. In this case, this guy actually did a bad thing. Nobody stopped it, and nobody wants to talk about him. These same media that sat around crying and whining about Daniel Penny won't even acknowledge that something happened here. And
Yeah.
for me, I can't speak to other people. I don't know what other people's agendas are, things like that. It's not the fact that this man it's not the color of his skin that defines what I think of him or doesn't think of him. But the truth is,
Exactly.
he did something bad. It was from a direction of being a hate crime. And if we're going to be the type of people that call out every second, especially when it's the other way around, we have to also call this out. It can't be that in one direction it's this big thing where, like we were talking about, they have to go in the street and burn all the streets and all the buildings and all the thing, and then defund the police and all this other crap. And then at the end, when this guy doesn't, nobody wants to say anything. CNN, all those Wikipedia, CNN, all those mainstream legacy media news outlets are the biggest pieces of shit. It something it doesn't make sense to me that they can just go around with that kind of hypocrisy and that kind of coverage, and they can just get away with it. How is it possible that they're just burying this story?
Well, it's real easy. They decide what they report on, editorial privilege, and they've decided that anything that questions the narrative that they want to push forward, which is that all people of a certain skin color, or certain religions or whatever, they are all victims. They are all being victimized at all times, and that there is never any situation in which they are involved in any kind of crime or violence or anything in the other direction that is not justified in some way. And so I do genuinely believe, I think there are people in the media that look at this case and they believe that this man who committed 14 previous violent assaults, this man who had been diagnosed with schizophrenia, that they genuinely believe that in some way he was justified in what he did. And I'm not joking. I
Yeah.
genuinely believe that. I think there are people in the media who think that what he did is justifiable.
And the fact that even that her being and it's such a strange reversal, because I think that a lot of people that are more, not as kind of left leaning, not everybody loved all this Ukrainian stuff. I've always told you that it's a conflict that I think that people here in America, and I include myself in that, aren't 100% don't know all the ins and outs of. It's very complicated, and I feel like when it happened, I don't really know what's right and wrong there. I think it's a complicated situation. And with all of that being said, this lady was here in America, and this man had no right. There's no reason for this woman to be on a train and die like this so horrifically.
No,
And I don't want to do this because it depresses me. But there's additional pictures that, where with her hat off and she's looking at him scared, or she's sitting after he stabbed her and she's crying and basically just bleeding out and dying. It is so sad, the final moments of this young lady and
yeah,
how she died.
it's
And
horrifying, absolutely horrifying, and absolutely no one of any race, of any sex, should ever have to face some psychotic killer who just decides he's gonna take someone's life. That's just not acceptable, and again, it is unforgivable that we have a court system, and, this Phobos has a, has a rumble rant here we'll get to in a moment, but that we have a court system that would quite literally just say, "Well, yeah, he committed another crime. I guess we'll let him out again." Right? That it's unacceptable. Unacceptable.
absolutely. Absolutely unacceptable. So, Istophobos says it's a rumble rant for $1. Thank you, Istophobos. The magistrate that let the killer off has no legal training or degrees and also has a financial interest. The second chance facility that gets government money every time someone is sent there. They have people there in that system that they don't have any kind of, like they said, legal training or degrees or anything. How are they making these decisions? How is some woman who has no training and doesn't know what she's doing continues to let this guy just out every second? This is a very, very broken and terrible system, and something has to change.
Yeah. Yeah. And just one more example of why you do not hate the mainstream media enough.
No,
It's awful.
I do think that today we're lucky, to an extent at least. There's a lot of stuff that people say on X that I think is annoying sometimes. I think that the freedom of speech things, it's sort of a double-edged sword. There's good things and bad things, but the fact that we can at least have conversations about this online these days on X, it's at least worth something, because before Elon Musk took over Twitter, the narrative was so carefully curated that they would not let you talk about. We learned this. We saw this ourselves. We know the difference.
Mm-hmm.
We know what Twitter was like when they wouldn't let us say anything. So at least now there's some kind of pushback where you can have like online conversations. And I think gradually, every time the mainstream media tries to ignore a big story like this because they think that they need to follow a certain narrative, they only lose more and more credibility.
Yeah.
And that's why they have less viewers and they have less people following them. And then you have all these shows that are canceled, and these networks that are in distress because they don't have enough viewers. It's not a coincidence. Just like with Hollywood and how they alienated customers, all this kind of news empire, this kind of legacy news media, they've alienated people. I think that over time, more and more people understand that they're just full of shit. Sorry, Sean. Some people maybe don't, but I think more people do.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Night, Amelia. She's headed off to bed. It's good to see you. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah, thanks for
Yeah, Tim
hanging out.
Hayes says, "What do you mean you don't hate you don't hate it enough? However much you may hate the mainstream media, you don't hate them enough, because they quite literally hate you. They want to try to present whatever stories they want. They want to edit the news. They want to produce their own narrative, and they no longer have any interest whatsoever in actually trying to present the news in any kind of actual objective frame, right? They're perfectly now they're perfectly happy to just twist everything that they get, whether it has to do with Trump, or it has to do with race, or it has to do with some LGBTQ2IA plus whatever BS alphabet mafia stuff, whatever it is. They have a specific narrative that they're going to give, and even more so, they're getting that narrative from their bosses at the DNC. So it's actually quite depressing. You just you can't hate them enough.
So this is, I guess, Charlie Kirk posts this. Right now, millions of people are finding out that you can become a magistrate judge in many states without being a licensed lawyer. Teresa Stoke never passed the bar exam, fully empowered to let repeat criminal offenders roam the streets to murder innocents. Utter lunacy. I don't get it. I don't understand how you have a person in custody 14 times for doing terrible things, and you're just like, yep, let's
Yeah.
let him out. Maybe this time it'll be
Yeah.
okay.
And again, this man was known to the police. He had in a previous occasion had called 911 for the police to show up, and he told them that he had that people had put foreign materials into his brain that were controlling his brain, and were controlling his emotions and his motions. And so he told them, he's like, "Oh, I've got this, foreign stuff in my brain, and it's messing me up," whatever. Clearly having just a complete disassociative, freak out. And the cops were trying to talk him down, trying to be nice about it, trying to get him to calm down so that they could help him out. And he freaks out, calls 911 while he's trying to deal with the cops. I mean, it was a madhouse. The man clearly had deep psychosis. Like he was not capable of functioning. He was thrown out of the house by his mother because he was too violent. he did not belong on the street. I agree with a lot of the posts that we've seen on X, and a lot of the a lot of people have said, make asylums great again. Yeah, we need to have. I totally understand why people have a problem with they say, oh, asylums. You go back to what we had in the 40s and the 50s, and even before that, and there was these these asylums that were out there that were absolutely uh they were horrifying, right? The stuff that they would do to people, the conditions under which these people would be treated and cared for. But in a lot of these situations, there is no way for us to protect the rest of our populace without involuntarily committing some of these people, getting them away from others so that they cannot harm other people. And we've got to find a way. Yeah, I understand. Oh, we should let people decide, their own fate and determine, self-determination and blah, whatever. I'm sorry. There has to be a limit to that. There are people who are clearly a risk to not just themselves, but to others. And there has to be some way that we can humanely care for those people and protect the rest of society from those people. And, whatever it
It's
takes, right?
I
But
can
it's
simplify this.
madness.
I can simplify this for you, Professor. This guy was arrested 14 times because he assaults people. He's a nutcase. That's a guy that if you put him in an asylum, I don't think that there's a situation that they're like, wait, what about his feelings? I don't think that there's a dialogue like that. It's the same with the guy in New York with the Daniel Penny situation. That guy, they kept arresting him, letting him go. They said he was schizophrenic. He was on his meds. He wasn't on his meds. He was attacking people. That's another situation. This isn't one of those like, are you sure you want to put this guy in an asylum? Like, if there's a guy that just one day said something out of place or made a mistake, you don't automatically put him in an asylum. But these kind of guys that are repeat offenders, that every 5 minutes are doing it again and getting arrested, they've been arrested like dozens of times. That's the time that you put them in that kind of asylum.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Quinn says Bill O'Reilly predicted 10 years ago that we'd become South Africa. We did. I don't know for South Africa, but it's certainly it doesn't look good. And I think Trump was saying that a lot of these are Democrat-run cities. Yeah, I mean, I think that a lot of times when you try to be so PC, so politically correct, and so like kumbaya, you run into this situation. I'm not saying, I've always considered myself, I've said it a million times, like I'm more like a middle of the road person. It's not that I feel like I'm hard, a hardline person to one side of the political spectrum or another. But at the same time, you can't be an idiot either. You know what I mean? Like, well, what are you gonna do? Yeah, you can't just sit around there with all this PC crap. If there's people that are doing bad stuff and they keep getting arrested, you need to do something.
Hmm. Yeah. It's just so sad.
It is.
This young woman had her whole life ahead of her. She had just escaped from the war zone that has been Ukraine for years now. And it's incredibly sad that she came here. She was seeking asylum. She was trying to build a new life here, and that was taken from her by someone who should have been incarcerated. He should have been institutionalized. But we have this bizarre legal system that's decided, well, because he's black, we're going to give him not just one chance, but two, 5, 10, 14 chances to be back out on the street. He was incarcerated for a length of time at one point, and it was clear he was not well adjusted. He was not capable of surviving on his own. But of course, yeah, we know. Well, we just kick him out. We're gonna throw him back out there, and then hopefully he shows up for his appointments with his social worker. Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was kind of a bummer.
Yeah, it's a very much a bummer. Yeah.
Is there anything that we were going to talk about that's less of a bummer? I did
Let's
want to see
see.
something. I don't. There's a few things. I'm going to go really lighter hearted now. I watched another South Park, and
Oh, is there a new one?
I think there was one. I don't know if it was last week. There was one that we didn't talk about that they had something that again they had something with some Korean dolls. Did you see that one with these stuffed animals that are like Korean dolls or something that people are collecting?
Hmm. No.
Uh, Radio Streamer says that young lady that died is one of so many that we have to see, largely due to a complicit media and court system, prosecutors. They even hide numbers on reporting systems to hide statistics. I agree with you.
Absolutely do. Absolutely do. It's it's corrupt and it's extremely frustrating.
Dude Rosef says 420 says Labubu. That's like the Korean dolls or
Yes.
whatever it is. Yeah, Walk is dead. So the thing is that you know it seemed like there were even a few jokes that could have been okay in this episode. Still not their best material, but then again, they have to like reintroduce that same like Trump as Saddam Hussein with the thing, and do more like dumb things with it. It's. I don't say this with pleasure because I've always seen like the South Park people as kind of equal opportunity offenders. But when 4 episodes in a row, or how many it's been, all you do is the same like joke over and over again. It starts feeling like I hate to say that they're kind of TDSers, but it almost feels like that. It's like, guys, there's other people you can make fun of. They didn't tell one joke on Biden. If like there was an episode that they're tearing Trump apart, and the next episode they're like showing Biden in like the dumbest way possible, I'd say, okay, these guys don't care about anything. They're here to tell jokes. But 4 episodes in, that like every episode is another one of these Trump things. At some point, you're just like, man, this is just like this is the reason why Stephen Colbert's show went off a cliff. You know what I mean? The main reason. I
Mhm.
mean, there were other reasons maybe, but one of the reasons. No, because initially when they appointed Stephen Colbert, before Trump was running for office or whatever it is, he was just doing some late night thing. It wasn't the worst thing in the world. Suddenly, like Trump gets elected and he's like whining and crying about Trump all day and all night. And it's like that's the way you drive your show off a cliff. Uh I've always felt that like Trey and Matt are better than that. There's so much stuff that they've done over the years that I liked, that to see them just fall into this stupid creative trap is just kind of disappointing. But
Mhm.
that's my personal opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just gotten dull. It's just the
Yeah,
same
Goth
joke over and
Conservative says the
over
whole
and
thing is just boring.
yeah.
They did go to the COVID special. I don't know why they are doing this. Listen, it's fine if they made like just the first episode and they made Trump, fun of Trump the same way. I'd understand if they revisited in a later episode and made a joke out of him. They can do that. But now, after 4 episodes of each time the same thing over and over again, you start wondering like, what's going on here? This feels like it starts feeling like one of these kind of things that they're obsessed with this. I don't think it's good. It's not what I tune into South Park. I want that kind of thing that everybody gets skewered. Not that now that they're kind of it's a strange time for them to suddenly get TDS too.
Yeah, seems like it's not quite as in vogue as it used to be, but yeah, there
They're
does
late
seem
to
to
the
be doubling
party.
down on it at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, they're completely late to the TDS party, and now it just seems weird. People are saying, "Oh, well, it's the dude." Rosef says, "Well, they were sold out by the 1.5 billion. They're very rich. I guess at the end, these guys are so wealthy.
Yeah,
You
I don't
know,
know
each
after they pay down all their debts from Casa Bonita, I'm not really sure that they're going to have that much money left.
even with all the debts of Casa Bonita, I think that doesn't put a dent in their net worth. I feel like each of them has at least like $600 million or something like that in their net worth. I don't know what they put into that Casa Bonita. Is it like a huge loss for them? I don't even know.
I think they were like $300,000 in the hole at least.
Three hundred
Um,
thousand dollars. That's nothing for these guys. They
yeah,
sneeze and get three hundred thousand
yeah,
dollars.
yeah. That was just the debt. But the actual restaurants themselves, as far as I know, have not been making money. So that debt continues to pile up. Here's your Labubu dolls price.
I've never
There's
even
the
seen one. I don't know what you're supposed to do with them, but yeah.
Well, they're just dolls. You just collect them. There's a bunch of different looking ones. But interestingly enough, so I had actually seen someone talking about these Labubu dolls. Uh, gosh, it's been a couple of months. I think it's been a little while. But what's really funny is when I first saw these, I immediately had a reaction to this and thought that looks exactly like something else that I remember. So you'll see this story here is parents can't find these things. They can't find these Labubu dolls. They're all sold out everywhere. And so it says they're turning to a nostalgic throwback. So when I saw this, oh my God, I thought, oh wow, this is exactly what I thought of when I first saw these dolls and thought, that looks familiar. I thought of these. These are Monchichis.
Okay.
These have been around since the 70s, early 80s. And I actually when I was a kid, like when I mean like 1 year old, 2 years old, I had one of these. And I think it might still be somewhere in like my mom's closet somewhere. It's these little monkeys. They can suck on their thumbs or their other hand has a banana and they can eat the banana. And these were huge with Gen X, real young, or Gen X. So it's kind of funny. I was like, oh my God, like that was literally the same. I thought when I saw these, I was like, kind of looks like Monchichis. Well, apparently, some parents who can't find the things are turning to Monchichis and buying those instead.
That's funny. Did not know that.
Oh,
Didn't know anything about any of this.
yeah. You're better off, or you
Yeah,
were.
these
No.
look like stupid dolls anyways. But yeah, some of these are very expensive and they sell for a lot of money. I don't know. I don't understand anything about all of this stuff, but I'm glad I don't know a lot about it, Professor. It's not for me.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Someone mentioned the troll dolls. Yeah, those are big for Gen Xers as well. The little troll dolls with the crazy hair. Yeah.
So, the idea the weird thing is, I think the South Park episode, I can't remember now because I saw it late at night, one night, but I think initially it started with those dolls, and you're like, okay, well, this could be kind of funny. And then again, they shift back to like the thing with Trump, and I'm just like, man, it doesn't even fit in this episode. You know what I mean? It's like, you didn't even need it here. It's just, at this point, it just becomes like, oh, we got to do this over and over and over again. And it's so not like them because they usually know how to read the room and they know how to, y- you know, they do stuff that's really funny. I mean, they did in the past, and I don't know. There's something just so lazy, uninspired about it all. Just my personal opinion. In addition, I watched a movie on Netflix that came out recently. Uh, it's called The Thursday Murder Clubs.
Oh my God, I thought you were gonna say that you watched K-pop Demon Hunters.
K-pop Demon Hunters, I actually put that on one day. It was already a few weeks ago. People were like, "This is the best thing we've ever seen," and I put it on, and there were these K-pop singers, and they were singing K-pop, and man, I couldn't remain focused. I
It's
couldn't
we
couldn't keep
we,
watching. You could
we
tell
are
me
not the demographic. We are not the target demographic for K-pop Demon Hunters, Price.
you could tell me that K-pop thing is the best thing that ever happened. I really tried. I'm like, you got to
Yeah.
be objective. Watch this. Maybe there's something you'll like about it. And I suffered so much, and I think maybe a third into the movie, I'm just like, that's it. I can't do it. I was like in Ace Ventura, like, I just can't do it, Captain. I don't have the power, or whatever he says. That's like that he's doing like an impression of Scotty. That's what I was thinking when I watched this movie. Couldn't do any more of it. It's it could be that there's some redeeming qualities about it, but it's not for me. But I watched that Thursday Murder Club, whatever. It's
Okay.
produced by Steven Spielberg. It was directed by Chris Columbus, also a veteran director. It had Helen Mirren, Pierce Brosnan. Oddly, because they were in that other show together, so it's strange that they're in this thing together. Totally
Yeah,
weird.
yeah. Very
Totally
strange.
strange.
Very
Yeah.
strange to see them together. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Thursday. Let's see. Thursday Murder Club. So I'm gonna try to share it. It has on Rotten Tomatoes right now. Not that I consider Rotten Tomatoes anything, but has 77% fresh, 54% from audience. And the thing is, this movie, it felt like a kind of, I don't know if to say like a movie from a bygone era. It felt like a combination of two things. First of all, in England, I don't know if you know, they do a lot of these kind of murder mystery stuff, and the book itself is some guy in England wrote this book, and it did well. And this was Steven Spielberg bought the rights. He adapted it. He let Chris. He purchased the rights and wanted to make it into a movie. Chris Columbus came and he directed it, and there's a stellar cast here. I mean, just so you understand that the main actors are like, Helen Mirren, Ben Kingsley, Pierce Brosnan, and then in addition to that, almost every other actor you see is also somebody you know from somewhere, including, like, just so you understand that in almost like a throwaway side role, you have David Tennant, which I know he's annoying these days, but I'm saying, like, he's considered a decent actor. Like, even he gets like barely gets anything. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? He gets
Hmm.
kind of a almost small role, relatively speaking. Uh, I'm just saying that this movie has to say that it's like a star-studded ensemble. That would be a fair way to explain it. Every single person here, you know them from somewhere,
Hmm.
which is pretty cool. And as far as if the movie is good, it doesn't reinvent any wheels. It feels like an old school kind of. It's a murder mystery, but it's kind of light. But you know what? I sat and watched it at night, and it wasn't the worst thing I'd ever seen. There's no reinvention of wheels. There's nothing particularly spectacular about any aspect of the story or the mystery or anything. But I didn't suffer watching it. I thought that for a streaming movie that you watch late at night, I thought it was okay.
All right then. Any particular performance in this that you thought was particularly good or enjoyed? I mean, obviously we've got some great actors and actresses that are part of this, but
I think that the main thing was it looked like they were having a fun time,
yeah,
and it doesn't look like anybody here took it especially seriously. Uh, I liked all three. I liked seeing, like, Pierce Brosnan, Helen Mirren, and Ben Kingsley. This other lady, I don't know. She's familiar from places, but I didn't remember where I knew her from. The guy on the woman on the right, she was
yeah.
fine also. But those three really, it just looked like they were having fun. Some of it was a bit like, I don't know. It had a feeling of something that you may see in a movie in the 80s or the 90s, in terms of how, like, just things happen that are a little don't feel like as gritty as maybe they would happen in real life. They're a little bit lighthearted and silly. But again, sometimes it's good to do that. It's not the worst thing I'd ever seen. It's not going to win any awards. I would say that, considering the cast that you have here, it feels like maybe there could have been like a more sophisticated story. But at the same time, maybe just because of the performances and the cast, and you could tell it's a steady hand directing it. It's not poorly made. I like I said, I'm not saying like this is the best thing I've ever seen. Stop everything you're doing. This is the best. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, like, if you're at home, you have Netflix, and between like K-pop hunters and, I don't know what's seven lesbians on a beach or whatever other shows there are. Uh, I don't know if that's a real show. I made that up. But you know what I'm trying to say. Between the weird crap that they put on the platform, at least it didn't feel like overly, from what I remember at least, it didn't feel like overly woke or anything. It just felt like, they're in some, basically these guys are in this kind of retirement community, and they have this little group of theirs that they try to solve like cold cases. They like to solve murders and things like that. And then there's something that happens like on location, and they have to try to solve it. It's really like, like I said, it almost feels like a movie that could have been made in the 80s, in a more innocent time. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Hmm. Yeah.
And maybe in that sense you could pick apart certain things, but since I already understood where it was going, and that it was kind of just lighthearted and you're not supposed to take it too seriously, then I was able to enjoy it for whatever it is. Not groundbreaking, not spectacular, but I thought it was fine. It was
Okay.
passable entertainment.
Okay. Yeah.
Did
I
anybody
thought
murder?
I did think it looked, I'm not a huge, like, murder mystery fan. I there are some of them that I've really gotten into and enjoyed, but generally it's not a genre that, like, I seek out, right? Um, I did enjoy, like, when I was a kid, my mother's huge into murder mysteries, so, one of the things we used to watch was always the Saturday mystery, whatever movie, the whatever it was that CBS did or whatever was Columbo, right? They had Columbo and then a few others that they
Right.
rotated in there. Um, there's a Thursday night mystery movie. I don't remember, but anyway, like I always loved Columbo. I enjoyed that, but part of that was the performance of the lead actor playing Columbo and how like he went about solving the mysteries and stuff. It was always is it felt like he was sort of bumbling into it, but at the same time he was doing that to like disarm everyone around him and make them think that maybe he didn't know what was going on. He was always way smarter than everyone else. And I really did enjoy like the Columbo mysteries. Not so much some of the other ones, but um my mother's always been huge into murder mystery stuff, procedurals, and, but I was just it's just never been a genre that really just, like, spoke to me. I don't have to, catch every new, murder mystery that comes out, but, I've actually heard some pretty good feedback about this, and I've, also, seen I really enjoy, some of the actors in this, right? I think that Pierce Brosnan and Ben Kingsley are absolutely fantastic performers, so that kinda makes me a little bit interested. Certainly more interested in watching this than I would be in watching K-pop Demon Hunters, so
Yeah, I guess it like after me trying to watch that K-pop thing, it was fine. I think I tried watching that Alien thing and I fell asleep. So at least again, lower your expectations here. If you're expecting anything that's like even remotely groundbreaking, original, or anything special, you're probably not going to get it here. It heavily relies on actors that are really good actors and they're having fun. And when you see like actors and they're just kind of having fun in this almost throwback vibe to a different era, it's fine for whatever it is. Uh, if I was overly critical, if I didn't accept it as what I just described to you, and I wanted to be overly critical, I could probably like start nitpicking within the screenplay certain things. But sometimes when you see a movie and you understand what it's going for, and you're like, okay, this kind of does that, then you're just like, okay, whatever. Again, this isn't this is good for streaming. This is exactly what you think when you're thinking a
Yep,
Netflix movie,
good
but
good
this
enough for streaming, yeah.
it's good enough for streaming, and at the same time, all things considered, what you see on streaming usually, this was better than some of the things I've seen on streaming. I've seen a lot of crap on streaming. This was at least mildly entertaining. You could kind of watch it if you like these actors, just to enjoy their performances. It just kind of barely does the bare minimum to be pretty decent. But at the same time, with all that being said, I mildly enjoyed it because of the actors. I like these guys, and I don't know. I probably enjoyed it
Mhm.
more than it was a good movie. I enjoyed it maybe because of the cast. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I
That tends to happen a lot, honestly. I think that, when there's a cast that you really kind of enjoy their performances, you enjoy their take on their characters, that helps elevate the material a lot, makes it a little bit more, enjoyable to watch, especially if you can tell. I like you were saying earlier that, you feel like the actors actually were having fun on set, like, actually, like, enjoying throwing themselves in the role and having fun with it. I always tend to gravitate to performances like that because you can tell that they actually they weren't just showing up and reading their lines and doing stuff. They were actually kind of invested in making something, enjoyable. So
That's what it seemed like, and yeah, I mean, Helen Mirren does a lot of heavy lifting. I think that she's good. She's a good actress. Like, it's almost like how do I explain it? It's like a very standard kind of what people were writing murders, they wrote murder, whatever. It's a very standard story like that. It could be like a forgettable episode of like a Murder She Wrote type of thing. But the thing that separates it is that you really feel like you're getting top tier talent to do this thing. Maybe talent that's overqualified for whatever we're looking at, but nevertheless, like I said, you're sitting at home at a late hour, it's something on streaming, not the worst thing I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my thing.
Yeah.
That's like, if you want my quote, it's not the worst thing I've seen. Make of that what you will. And Radio Streamer says, my grandmother is the only reason I learned what good murder mystery and bad was. She watched stuff like that my whole life. I'm going to tell you something that I don't know if I told you this, Professor. I'm very ashamed to tell you this. There's a show called Father Brown. Did you ever watch it?
I've heard of it. I don't know if I ever watched an episode of it though. Yeah.
The show is about like he's like a priest in England and in some
Yeah.
village or something
Yeah.
in the 1950s, and he kind of moonlights as a sleuth. He solves like murder mysteries and things like that. Think of like a Murder She Wrote type of situation, but with a priest that
Yeah.
is
Yeah. I actually do think I might have seen an episode or two of this.
now
Now that I'm looking at the preview here.
the thing
So
is that the first maybe 5 seasons, I wanna say, maybe more, I don't know. The earlier seasons, I really thought not only that, with every season, they kind of tweaked the cast, they made some changes. Somewhere around, like, 3rd, 4th, 5th season, I really feel like they were on a roll. They had a really good cast. They had, like, uh, you could tell that the writing was already, like, they found their footing. A lot of good things were happening, and relatively speaking, for a murder mystery, I thought it was pretty fun. Like, I actually surprisingly, I sat there and I surprised myself that I actually was enjoying it. But then what happened is that from like season 5 till I don't know if they're like 11 or 12 or where they're at now, every season it becomes more woke. And by the end, it's
Mhm.
just like all these actors left, and you're just left with this like giant woke things that don't make sense. You know how in Doctor Who they suddenly had Isaac Newton, he's like from India and all this weird stuff. I feel like that kind of vibe starts creeping into this show. It almost feels like in some episodes they have a quota where like the BBC tells them you only get to make this episode if you feature two diverse people in it. Now, if you're doing a show about a detectives or whatever it is and things like that in 2025, and it's like in London, it's 2025, and you have some people with different backgrounds that are diverse, different things like that. That makes sense. It makes sense because you can believe that that's what's happening now in a police force or in whatever it is in a church in a town in 1950s in England. There can't there. It's just that type of diversity does not ring true. Do you get what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah.
Like it can't be.
It doesn't fit the nature of the environment that they're in. It's like Black Vikings. Like it doesn't work.
Absolutely. There's no chance that this priest is sitting around there. Not only that, like, they sometimes do stuff which is more like LG, some characters like that.
Sure.
There's people coming there, there's like diverse people, all that. And he's always like this so understanding and so whatever, and everybody's so understanding. It's like, I don't think so. I don't think that in 1950 anybody would be understanding about anything. I'm not saying maybe it's bad that in some cases people in 1950 wouldn't be understanding. But at the end of the day, if you're showing me something that's essentially a period piece with a guy that solves mysteries, you can't pretend like we're in modern day, especially in a location that historically it just doesn't make sense that what you're presenting is true. And yeah, so they went completely woke. And there's other BBC shows that have been running for a while that also all went that route. In addition to
Mhm.
Doctor Who, of course.
Yeah, well, we can't be surprised by stuff that was produced by BBC that it went that it
Like
went woke.
I talked to this about, I think, maybe it was with Ian or maybe, oh, sorry, maybe it was like with Will of the Fans, who was a friend of mine. And I told him that, there's this show that also has like, oddly, it's sort I don't know if it's a ripoff of Father Brown. There's something that has like a priest that also solves mysteries oddly, and it's like a more dramatic show or something like that. Initially, the earlier seasons is kind of interesting, but then again they start doing all this kind of weird woke stuff. Like these days, what happened was a year ago they decided it's a show that at this point in time it's taking place in like 1959 or 1960. So they hired an actor who was like, from India. That's why it reminded me of Isaac Newton. They one cast member who was a main cast member left, like a priest. So they hired a guy from India who would be a priest at a church in England in 1959. And let me
Yeah,
tell you something.
that just
I
doesn't make sense at all.
It doesn't make sense at all. And initially, what happens is in like the first episode, they're trying to make it seem like he's having a tough time because of who he is. So like people are istophobes. But at the same time, like very quickly, I guess they like accept him for being who he is. That would not happen in 1959. It would not happen. You can try to sell me whatever idea you want to sell me. A guy from India that's the priest in a church and he's the guy. I don't believe it. I just don't believe it. And the fact that they insist on doing it, I think is dumb.
Yeah, it's terrible. The whole like throwing modern values into historical pieces, like it doesn't work. It's awful. It makes the story make no sense. It makes the world completely unbelievable. It violates that verisimilitude, right? That you're looking at this historical piece, but it's no longer truthful. It no longer feels real in any way because you've now squeezed all of this stuff into it that makes no sense. It's like, there's all sorts of examples, but I was looking at my back during COVID, they came out with, one of these stupid uh live action remakes that Disney does. They did the live action remake of Lady and the Tramp. Well, this takes place in like 1910, right? It takes place like ages ago. And they have the couple, the Darlings, are a mixed race couple. I'm sorry, but no. That would not happen. It did not happen. If it did happen, those people were absolutely just chased out of town. They would not. It would not be allowed, to to happen. It would not be allowed in high society. It's madness, right? It just completely ruins any sort of ability for us to look at that world and say that this feels real. This feels like it could have happened. It messed up everything, and just ruined the story. Of course, they did a lot of other things that also ruined the story, like talking live dogs and the way they animate their mouths and stuff just looks stupid. But it was like, are you kidding? You had to do that, right? You had to do this in something that makes no sense within the consistency of the world. So yeah, this happens all the time. Yeah, sticking at, oh, we're gonna have an Indian Catholic priest or whatever it
It's
is.
ridiculous. This is just ridiculous. It
It's
is
gonna show up in a
absolutely
1950s town in England, and everyone's just gonna be chill with this, right?
ridiculous.
It's
And you
absurd.
know what? I don't know this actor that plays this dude, and I'm not saying anything bad against him. I'm not even saying he's the worst actor, but you're not really doing even him a service here. Who are you trying to do a service here? This I don't even know if today there's like an Indian Christian guy, in a church in England that everybody like, is buddy buddy with. I'm not saying it can happen. Maybe today it can, but man, I don't think it happened in 1959 or whatever it is. I just don't believe it.
And
And
if it did, here's the thing. Let's just say, all right, hey, yes, there was an Indian man who was ordained in the church and was a priest or whatever, and then got sent to this little place in the country or wherever it is. Treat that as the anomaly that it is. Let people react to them in the way that
oh,
they
oh
would
no, no,
in the
okay, okay.
time,
I want
right?
to say here's the sneaky part. initially, I think in the first episode that he arrives, maybe not to the full extent, but people generally don't like him because of that. But what happens is that very quickly he overcomes that challenge, and then everybody thinks he's the best, and that's the part that I don't believe. Do you get what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, they understood, even these idiots at the BBC understood that if this guy suddenly shows up, it wouldn't make sense that they'd all be nice to him. So they have to initially show they're not nice to him. But this doesn't last a very long time. This is a very temporary thing that they don't like him. Very quickly, he's amazing, and like nobody even thinks anything negative. And in any case, even when they have that, and even for that little stretch that until everybody accepts him, that also is annoying. It's like, I don't need any of this shit. This doesn't make sense. You want to do a period piece, just bring a guy and put before him there was like a white priest or whatever it is. It makes sense. That's what would make sense in the 50s in some English town. Why would this guy be there? So I was saying this to Will of the fans, and he's like, "Yeah, my mom looks like," but then my mom likes this show, but then she was saying that like once they did this, even his mom was like, "Okay, I think I'm out." And after this whole situation, it's a complete go woke, go broke. They brought this guy, and within like at the end of his season or something like that, they're like, "Okay, there's only going to be one more season," and then the whole show ends. Show ends after like many seasons. Basically, what I'm saying is they thought that one guy leaving and they'll bring this Indian guy and like it'll give the show a new life, and it did the exact opposite. I don't think anybody took this seriously. A lot of people just jumped ship and said, "You know what? This is a good place for me to check out."
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that I just in general period pieces should stay more true to what they are. The BBC are just notorious for doing this weird crap in recent years, and I just don't like it. I don't know how we got here. How do we get to talking about Grantchester
I don't know.
and the Indian
What
priest? It's true.
what other stuff did we have on the
On the docket,
docket
we
to
had
talk about? Is there something about Silksong?
Silksong gets easy patch. I was hoping I was just reading
Well, so
something.
I do know actually a little bit about this. Actually, I was talking to my son earlier today because he's a huge fan of the Hollow Knight game and the new release Silksong. This pissed a lot of people off. By the way, Price, have you heard about the Silksong and how it made a lot of these indie studios very, very angry? Because for one, they didn't really announce when it was going to come out until the last minute, and so there was a bunch of other studios that they had their release dates up and stuff, and so they were pissed off because now this huge game was going to be released, and it was going to mess with their release schedule. So they were pissed off about that, and they were hugely angry about Silksong being released and only costing $20, because all of these other indie studios, they want to be able to make big bucks. They want to be able to charge as much as the big studios for their games. They're getting close to it. They wanted 40, 50, $60 out of some of their games. And this game, Silksong, has been in development for years. 5-6 years now, and so they really thought, they're like, this title should have a big price on it because it's this big game, and the studio came out and basically just said, nope, $20. That's what we're going to price it at. Here's the thing: they sold a ton of copies because it's only $20. So even people who weren't even really sure if they were interested in the game picked this up. They had people lined up, just waiting to get a hold of Silksong. But they they dropped it for $20. Here you go. $20. Pissed everyone right the hell off. They were so mad because this game, they were now hoping they were going to get some of this Nintendo business, right, and be able to start charging way more for their games. And instead, no, Silksong, there's like, nope, $20, and it just embarrassed all of these other all these other indie studios that are charging way more for their games. But yeah, they've now initially the actual game itself, this is another anomaly. The game itself runs really well. It didn't need massive patches day in, day out for the first few days. It runs fantastically. Even on older hardware, which that also pissed a lot of people off. That this game runs good on old hardware, because that's the thing now. We want to push. You got to buy the newest hardware to get this title, and so it runs great on older hardware, and it is this really successful title. It's absolutely beloved by its fans, and now they are actually going to be pushing a little bit of a balance adjustments to their game post launch. This is one of the first big patches that they're putting out. Essentially, there's been some gameplay feedback that they've gotten and stuff, basically saying that there's a couple of the earliest, some of the early bosses that you fight, which one of the cool things about this kind of game is typically you can actually, if you get to a boss that you're not interested in fighting right now, they're a little too tough, you can just sort of move on. You can go play other parts of the different levels. You can go do other things. You don't necessarily have to fight them right away.
Was it so tough though?
But yeah, that was basically, they were saying that there's a couple of these bosses that happen early on that are just, they're just way too difficult. Basically, they've actually gotten some of the gameplay data back from players, essentially saying that almost nobody's beat these bosses because they're way too hard for the skill level that you would have, and the level of your character you would have at that point in the game. So they're scaling back some of these characters a little bit. I was watching just kind of for a minute. I don't really love watching gameplays. I prefer to play games myself. But I was watching somebody playing this the other day, and there was some boss. They were having just a hell of a time. They spent better part of an hour trying to finish off this character, and they still couldn't beat this boss, and so they ended up finally just quitting and moving on, finding something else to do. But yeah, they're going to be releasing an early patch here. Game's only been out a little over a week, and so they're gonna release this early patch now. And I guess it hasn't even been out a whole week just yet. I think it came out last Thursday, maybe. But yeah, there's some early bosses, and I think they're gonna readjust some of the balance for those, and they're gonna make it so that some of the you're gonna get better rewards from beating certain characters and stuff like that to help you upgrade your character a little more quickly. But yeah, Stephen Mack says just an hour, whatever. Yeah, well, the same boss trying to fight the same one over and over again for an hour, and then finally gave up to try and do something else. Yeah, I know my son spent well more than that on on trying to get through some of the bosses he's been playing. So yeah, not a whole lot else to say about that. It's been a big hit. I'm glad for the studio. I think it's fairly small studio, as in like 6 or 7 people. I think it's not very many. It's very small studio, but they've got a game out there that is absolutely beloved, and that's fantastic. Especially since this was one that a lot of people have been looking forward to for a long time. I think the first one and all of its DLC all came out during Trump's first term in office, and then nothing came out for 5 years, and then there was a meme going around joking about how it was Trump coming back into office is what finally got this game published.
I I wanted to bring up one thing that I forgot to tell you
Uh-huh.
before I forget.
New iPhones. You're excited about
No,
the new
it was
iPhones
something
today.
annoying.
Oh,
I was
okay.
gonna do a video, but then I just, you know what? Even I, at some point, it's like every time I think I'm gonna just step away from this, some other weird shit happens. So I'll show you what this is. Let me show you if I can find this. Uh, so this is something that's being peddled now. I don't know if you saw this narrative. Uh, Sorry, let me shut this down. Superman James Gunn's DC reboot reportedly earns 125 million in profit. This is
Okay. According
absolutely
to
not
who?
true. So it all started that the Variety just wrote an article and just mentioned this in their like in some side comment, and it's like, man, I don't believe this. I'm sorry, it did not make 125 million dollars in profit. Not with the kind of things that they spent on this. This is such a sham. To me, it's obvious that this is coming from Warner Brothers and their PR push to constantly make this thing look like some big win. I absolutely don't think. Now, if you're referring to stuff like, sponsorships and home media and things like that and digital release, maybe when you add like all the stuff together, maybe you could get some, I'm not even sure, but maybe you could claim that other avenues of revenue gave it, but that's not the way the article mentions it. It makes it seem like at the box office it made 125 million dollars, and then you also have a lot of these other articles that they're like, oh, like, look at this money that James Gunn made. Like he got made so much more than Snyder did. Now, I've said it before. In my opinion, in a way, both Snyder and James Gunn, I think, underperformed to an extent. But I do think that Snyder's underperformance was better than Gunn's just by the numbers alone. It doesn't even matter if you like the movie or not. Like
Mm-hmm.
the thing is that Snyder's movie, this is the part that like I don't understand. They're trying to push the narrative that one, James Gunn's movie made 125 million dollars at the box office in profit, and two, that was much better than anything that Zack Snyder's movie made. But if James Gunn's movie made until now 614 million dollars and Zack Snyder made 667 million, and that's before you adjust for inflation, which would be more favorable towards the Snyder numbers, that would, if James Gunn's movie is such a success, that would mean that Zack Snyder's was an even bigger success. Now, between you and me, I don't think either of them were necessarily the successes that the studio wanted. It's just the desperation here to try to paint Gunn as like he outdid Snyder. It's like they're desperate to try to show that like that A, this movie was profitable, and B, it was better than Snyder in terms of money. And I don't think that either of those are correct. Like it doesn't matter if you liked or didn't like Snyder. I'm just saying Snyder made more money,
Mm-hmm.
and this movie is not, it's not the slam dunk that they're saying it is. They're misrepresenting the numbers. This is just like it's a sham. You know what I'm saying? And people that think, oh, you're saying this because you're protecting this guy and you're protecting that guy. I'm not protecting anybody. I've said before there were things about Snyder's movies that I had real issues with. There were some things about them that I didn't mind. When it comes to James Gunn, I've liked some of his past movies. Didn't really like what he did with Superman. I think that Richard Donner's Superman from 1978 is better than both of those movies. For me, like the 1978 Richard Donner Superman is the GOAT. Like that's the best Superman. Okay,
It is. It absolutely is.
so it's not that I'm sitting here and I have to protect this person or that person. I have this kind of instinct that when the media continues to roll out this same stupid narrative desperately over and over again, at the end, you have to ask, why is this happening? And the reason it's happening is because there's a PR push to paint this picture, because it's more important for Warner Brothers and their PR people and this access media that are all intertwined here to present this as some huge success story than to just report the facts. It's fine. I've said it before. James Gunn's movie could have flopped harder than it did. It was a minor flop, meaning if it would have made like Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny or the Marvels money, it would have been a huge flop. In this case, it's a minor flop. Maybe with merchandising, with home media or whatever it is, maybe it's still profitable. Do I think that they expected to make their money back at the box office first and foremost? Yes. Is the fact that they didn't, is that considered in their eyes something of a disappointment? It absolutely is. And since then, all they're trying to do is paint all these strange pictures with these strange narratives. And it's just, as a matter of principle, it annoys me when people don't want to tell the truth.
Yeah. I
Like,
do think I really do think at some point we're finally going to get the actual numbers for this. They're probably going to be leaked, but I think we're going to get the actual numbers for this, and I don't think in the end I think we're going to be justified. I don't think this made money in the theaters. I really don't.
here, this is another one.
Yeah.
Superman film delivers nearly triple the profit of Man of Steel. What are these people
No.
talking about? That movie made $667 million at the worldwide box office. This one made $614 million. And today, $667 million, if you adjust for inflation, is worth like $920 million. Now, there's different things you could say if it's fair to adjust or not fair to adjust, but even if I don't adjust it, it still means that Snyder did better than him. Don't think that Snyder hit the numbers that they exactly wanted. They wanted him to make $1 billion. Whether that was fair to him or not, I don't really know, but I think that they wanted a lot more money than what he generated. I think that one of the main problems here is that David Zaslav brought in James Gunn as sort of like, the antidote to Snyder, meaning he said, well, Snyder didn't deliver the big numbers we wanted, and he had a tone that was a bit more serious. We want it more family friendly. We want this and that, and he brings in Gunn. Meanwhile, I don't know that Gunn delivered this either. I don't think that, I honestly don't think Gunn was the right man for the job. One could argue if you like Snyder or not, if you think he was the right man for the job, but I actually think that James Gunn wasn't the antidote. If you had issues with Snyder, I don't think that James Gunn was your solution. He made a movie that in and of itself was dumb and stupid. He connected it to Peacemaker, which is not for kids at all. So if they wanted a more childish and like family friendly tone, I don't think they're getting that from James Gunn. So he didn't get that. He didn't do something that was like, a consensus that everybody was on board with to be anyways. And honestly, I'm just telling you as a reviewer, James Gunn's movie isn't that good. It's not really a very good movie in my opinion. So it's a matter of principle. I don't like this weird nonsense narratives. And the other thing that I heard people were saying, like, oh, he approved the sequel of Superman in record time. I heard people saying that. The thing is that, are you with me, Professor?
Yeah.
The thing is that here's my problem with this, and it only shows that they're desperate and there's something wrong. Jurassic World came out this summer. We both know it did well, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many articles have you seen where people are speculating if there will be a sequel or not?
Not many.
Not many. And if I told you now, hey, it already made 860 million at the box office, it may actually still make a bit more. Maybe it'll make like 870, 875 until the end of its run. Or maybe it'll stop, but it could get close to that. Once I give you that number, you don't have to read an article. You know that they're going to churn out another dinosaur movie, right?
Oh, there will be dinosaur movies until they no longer make money.
But this one is not the one that causes them to not make them anymore. Am I correct?
Yep. It made money, and so they're going to keep making them.
And you're not in suspense about it. You didn't need to read 70 articles. You didn't need a press release. You didn't need anybody to confirm or deny. There were no whispers about it. It's the question is not if they're going to make another Jurassic World movie. The question is when are they making this movie? How soon are they going to release it? They're obviously making another one. I don't need to read an article. It doesn't even matter. I already know. And I think that that's the difference here. The reason why they had to make this announcement in quote unquote record time was not because there's so much confidence in James Gunn. It was more a situation where they wanted to squash any rumors that there's something wrong with this whole DCU. And I also think that if you have something like Supergirl and you have something like these, Peacemaker, and you have Lanterns, you're trying to show that it all somehow comes together in one movie. It's almost like Man of Tomorrow is going to be a type of Avengers movie. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Oh yeah.
It's not gonna be a regular sequel, but I think that by the time you get there, he's gonna try to throw together all the people from everything that he's done into that one movie, and he's hoping, and maybe Warner Brothers are hoping, that even if each movie now, each thing that they can't turn the clock back on, even if every one of these things just performs somewhat okay or even underperforms, maybe that one will finally bring everything together and create, like, an Avengers-like atmosphere. Even with all that, they took Batman away from James Gunn. He's not doing the Brave and the Bold, as far as I can tell. Matt Reeves got to do his Batman Part 2 or whatever it is, so that was taken away from Gunn. I'm just saying that what we're seeing that's happening out on the field is very different than these narratives that I keep reading, and I guess it just annoys me. I don't know why I've become a person that when the media just wants to report on stuff that's absolutely bogus, it just annoys me. Like, as a
Mhm.
matter of principle. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
No, no, I get it. Yeah, just it. Yeah, the constant need to praise the film seems very strange.
It's strange because the thing is that if your film is a hit, you don't need any of this. The results speak for
Exactly,
themselves.
exactly. Yeah, the results speak for themselves.
If this
Yep.
movie made $1 billion at the box office, we would not be having any conversations about it. There would be nothing to converse about. We know it's getting a sequel. We know it's a slam dunk for the studio. We know that Zaslav is hopping around his desk. There's probably like a bunch of strippers in his office. I'm kidding, of course, here at Price of Reason Studios. We are not saying that there are actual strippers inside Zaslav's office, but in my head canon, I'm imagining him with $1 billion at the box office for Superman. He's standing on his desk with like this bottle of champagne. He's like shaking it. It opens up with all like the bubbly, and there's a bunch of like strippers dancing like in a pole in his office. That's what I imagine happens when they crack like $1 billion over at Warner Brothers with Superman. Right now, I don't think that's the case. I think that it's a case where everybody's whispering because you know that this didn't perform the way that they expected it to. And they're all just trying to cover everything. And people are asking me, well, why would they cover it? Why would they do that? Why would they make up? Sometimes in my comments, I see such weirdos. It's like, why would they do that? Why would they do that? Yes, they're a company that are they have investors, they have shareholders, and right now they're in $34 billion of debt. In their eyes, they don't want anything to come off as negative about this company. DC and Superman, it's a brand that's important to them. If they're launching a cinematic universe and that universe is not strong in something that's kind of high profile, it's a problem for them. And they'd rather pay PR companies millions of dollars to go around using every contact they have to push these strange articles all over the place, pushing all these narratives, because the way the public perceives their company is important to them, and it doesn't matter what's succeeding and what's not succeeding. The perception that they're succeeding and they're great is very, very important to them, and they seem to me be willing to do anything just to push this narrative out there. And that's exactly where I come in. I'm like the antidote to that. I just don't like that. I like for them to tell the truth. So yeah, that's why this thing keeps me up at night. That's why I made videos, and I initially wasn't gonna make like a series of videos about it, but each time I made one, so many people came to complain and tell me, bro, even now, like I haven't even had time to make a video about this. And people in my older videos went to them and they wrote, bro, how could you even say that this wasn't successful? It made $125 million profit. They're quoting these articles. They're coming to my comments and quoting these stupid articles. And the thing is, on YouTube, I don't feel good like really sparring with people. If it was on X, I'd probably be more aggressive in answering them. I kind of just have to kind of back off and not say anything. But man, these guys annoy me. Like, do they have any option to think for themselves? You know what I mean? Like, what, they read some stupid headline and they really think that it made like $125 million at the box office? That's stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're gonna get the numbers eventually, but until then, yeah, it's just a bunch of hype. I think that actually Warner Brothers is in a tough spot. I think they have greenlit this new Superman film because they need something now in production and something to look forward to, because I think that they understand already that Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow is not going to be a win for them. It is going to be a flop. Not a, well, you could argue blah 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 that it maybe made money. No, it is going to be a certified flop. People are not going to show up for it. It's going to lose money, and people are going to start talking about James Gunn's lost it. Is his MCU, is his, or not, is his DCU, is it over or whatever? Well, no. We've already got the rest of the Superman saga under production, so you got to come back for the next movie, whatever. I just don't. Yeah. It seems very odd that we got previously from James Gunn that we've got this whole arc of things that we're going to work on, and the next Superman movie, it's not really a Superman movie. It's going to be something else. It's going to be different. And then he announces, "Oh no, wait, actually no, it's a Superman saga, and the next one is going to be called Man of Tomorrow." And I've already greenlit it. It's ready to go. Whatever. He wrote the script apparently, and I mean, according to him, he was only going to greenlight projects that were finished, scripts that were done, which means I think he must have written this inside of a week. So it all seems very strange.
Something doesn't seem right. And I feel like we're not getting a full picture of what's happening behind the scenes, but there's a few things that I know. This movie was considered a disappointment because Warner Brothers wanted 800 to a billion, and they invested a lot of money for that to be 800 and a bit to a billion. 600 million is not what they wanted. This is in no way a big win for them. And then in addition to that, James Gunn initially wanted his own DCU Batman, which is the Brave and the Bold. That seemingly has been taken away from him. And meanwhile, while this movie wasn't doing well, they gave the final okay for Matt Reeves to move forward with his Batman, which seemed to be happening before, but not really. Only when this movie wasn't doing what they expected, it became a lot more serious that Matt Reeves was actually making Batman 2. And you can like this again. It doesn't matter if you like Matt Reeves or his Batman. It doesn't matter if you like James Gunn or not. I'm talking on a business level. They understood that Matt Reeves made close to $800 million at the box office. That his Penguin show had 4 times the viewership of what's his face of Peacemaker. For them, Matt Reeves is now a lot more interesting than James Gunn. And with James Gunn, I feel like they told him, listen, you're already making that Supergirl movie. We're not going to pull the plug on it. You're making that Lanterns movie show. We're not going to pull the plug on it. And you have that Clayface, which we're not going to pull the plug on. You can bring this kind of Man of Tomorrow thing, which again, that could be delayed. It could be canceled. I'm not saying they'll cancel it, but anything can still happen. Anything can happen. It could be just something right now to calm everybody down. You know what I mean? All these detractors saying that maybe there was something wrong with the production. It's not a big hit. They're saying, no, it's great. That's why we've greenlit this movie. It's all perfect. It could still be delayed. We've seen this kind of stuff happen. We don't know. He doesn't even have a script. He said he wouldn't start filming without a script. Now he's announcing this thing. He doesn't even have a script. Everything he says then turns out the exact opposite of what he said 5 minutes earlier. Did you notice that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Does that look like everything is hunky-dory? If he's like, it's not going to be on streaming until it's the 26th, the next day they're like, it's going to be on streaming tomorrow. He's like, well, we needed to do Peacemaker. It's very, very important. It's like, no, it has nothing to do with Peacemaker.
Yeah.
Just so many stories. I don't know.
So Tim Hayes, I think, was saying that it's saying that Supergirl's going to lose money. That's not a very good attitude. I'm just being completely objective about this. One, it has the exact same, reportedly, it has the exact same budget as this Superman film, $225. So that automatically means we're talking about something in the 450 area, even without marketing, right? So we're talking about box office of 450, even without marketing. If we throw in the marketing, probably, big tentpole films, marketing is 100 million minimum. So we put that together. 325. Now we're talking about 650 in order to make back its budget. Superman has barely scratched 615. It's not going to go much higher because it's already on streaming, or it's already on premium on demand. It'll be on streaming soon. Supergirl is a female-driven superhero film. Those always make less than male-driven films, than male-driven superhero films. You can say that's misogynist. You can say that it's, whatever. It's just reality. These always do not perform as well. They do
Only
not
Wonder
bring,
Woman. Wonder Woman did perform well.
They do not bring, for the most part, the male audience to see them as much as they would expect, and it is not made up by the women who come
Do
to
you
the
agree that
theaters.
Wonder Woman 1 was an anomaly, though?
It was, and it did very well. It was probably the best thing that came from the Snyderverse. That and the first Shazam film were both very enjoyable. The Shazam film had a great family appeal to it, and I think
True.
a lot of people enjoyed that. The Wonder Woman, I mean, it was basically Captain America's plot just redone as Wonder Woman's plot, but it worked pretty well, at least until the last act. It was a pretty solid film, and there were a lot of people that enjoyed that. But
There was fun to be had. I mean,
yeah,
I'm trying to think what worked well about Wonder Woman. I don't really even know how to tell you, but it was a rather out of all those
it
movies, it was
worked. It worked really well. Even despite the limitations of its star as far as her acting chops go, it
at
worked.
least
It
she
worked because she looked good on screen. She looked good in that costume. She was likable. That goes a long way, to have someone on screen that actually is likable, that people feel like, maybe, maybe that's a person that I would like, that I would enjoy being, friends with or something.
she
That she was a likable character on screen, a likable person. That went a long way to make that film as successful as it was.
she's likable. Yeah, I agree with you. She may not be the best actress and all that stuff, but I thought that she certainly looked good in the costume, and
Yes, no
it
question.
it
Absolutely no question.
I
She's a very attractive woman, and she
she
looks
was
very good.
easy on the
The
eyes.
costumes that they put her in were very attractive. They were very flattering to her figure, and it worked really well. And like I said, I think she was very likable in those. Despite some of the story issues, it was enjoyable. It was an enjoyable film. But I'm simply saying, from an objective point of view, Supergirl, it's going to have a similar budget to the Superman film. It's going to need similar amounts of money in order to survive in the box office. And we've already seen what the cap is for the DCU. And I do not see Supergirl doing better than Superman
And
in the
that's why,
theaters.
by the way, that's why Warner Brothers, when they saw, I read some article that they were looking at cuts of the movie, and when they saw Jason Momoa in the movie, they insisted apparently that they want to see more of Jason Momoa in the movie.
Mhm.
Now, why do you think they want to see more Jason Momoa in the movie? Because they're thinking to themselves, what can we do to save this movie? Jason
Yes.
Momoa, you may think highly of him, you may not think highly of him, but over at the quarters of Warner Brothers, he was in Minecraft that made money. He was in the first Aquaman that made money. And Aquaman 2 may not have made that same kind of money. It also didn't help that James Gunn, first of all, there was so much bullshit with that movie and their reshoots and Amber and all that kind of stuff that they ran into, and the ongoing changes with the DCU and bringing back this actor, that actor. That whole production was kind of a shit show to begin with. So maybe they're not fully blaming him. Plus, James Gunn came and said, oh, that basically, in not so many words, that the movie is irrelevant because he's rebooting the DCU anyways. So It didn't really give a lot of people reason to go watch it. I'm not going to lie to you, and I'd say that Aquaman 2 was anything spectacular. But I think that over at the corridors of Warner Brothers, Jason Momoa is seen as a guy that if you put him in a movie, maybe he can make you a few dollars. He has some track record with them. You may say, well, he's not exactly the best actor, and when do people really go to the theater to see him? Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But call him a lucky charm, call him whatever you want. They probably figure, hey, maybe Jason Momoa looking badass here, doing badass things. Maybe a few men are actually going to show up to this movie, and that's why they're like, we need to see more of him now. So,
yeah, I just, I like I said, just objectively, whether the movie is a good film or not, I'm not convinced it's going to be good at all. I don't. I'm not interested in a story based on Tom King's book about this. So far, the character as introduced in the DCU is not a character I have any interest in learning more about or seeing any more of. Despite my own misgivings of that, even if this does end up being a good film, I just don't see it at that budget and the type of media spend that they're going to have on this to get it out there in front of people. I just do not see it being able to make that budget back. I'm sure they'll claim that it does, but I just don't see it happening. And so it'll be a
say it's
flop.
the best thing that ever happened to them.
It'll be a flop. So. All right, man. I think maybe it's time to say goodnight to our friends here.
I think that's a good idea.
We've got I've got you their list there for our friends over on Rumble tonight.
For Rumble, we have Tim M. Hayes, Elizabeth Quince, Istifs, Phantom Monk, Bingo Hazmat, Goth Conservative, Folsom Lockdown, Dude Bro Seth 420, Cheers, Empress NM, Rowdy Dowdy, Double R Star, Pure Blood Based Berserker, Astolfo Stick, Loyosh, and Radio Streamer. And feel free to do the YouTube one.
A Stolfo Stick, I think. Okay. All right. We had over on YouTube, we had Amelia Bedelia, Tim Hayes, Zun RJ5, Tomahawk 511, Istophobos, Mur Rockstro, Jonathan Conroy, Caleb Levine, Marla Sharondoff, Yitis, Massgrave, Trust No One 754, Read by Nature, The Dead Man, Granola Grin, Air Cold DeStefano, American Reaper #1, Stephen Mack, Bishop Judas, Sean Green, Davion Donaldson, John Z, Isaac 556X45, Gavin Blackburn, K. Roberts, Keely Chow, Mayor Rizzo, Badfoot, and Jim Noxious. So hopefully we got everybody there. If we missed anyone, sorry about that, but we're glad to have you here. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. And before you go, make sure you leave us a like, give us a thumbs up. After the stream, leave us a comment, something to help boost the engagement for the streams. So
absolutely. And if you have something you want to plug, you can do that.
Well, of course, we'll talk about it again on Thursday, but on Friday we will have B-sides over on B-roll stage, both on Rumble and over on YouTube, Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. So, yep.
The beans were too old? I don't understand that reference.
Oh, no. So Elizabeth was saying earlier that she found some beans in the cupboard that had expired a couple of years ago, but was still planning to eat them with a lot of curry. And so hoping that they have not turned. And she's saying that if she's not around, it'd be her Friday because she's over in Korea. If she's not around Friday, the beans were too old.
I see. Thanks, Matt Foot, saying great stream price R2 in chat. Yeah, it was fun.
Yep.
Always fun hanging out with you all. And today's Tuesday, so we're going to see you all here on Thursday on the Night Owl.
Yep.
And I guess now that we've said our goodbyes and we went over all these interesting topics, I think it's our time to...
That'll do it for tonight. Thanks for hanging out with us, everyone. Have a good one.
Thanks, guys. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.